TSN presents Labatt's Blue Jays Baseball. Brought to you by Labatt's Blue, the clean, true taste of Canada. By Esso retailers and agents across Canada. By your local bottler of Coca-Cola Classic. And by General Motors of Canada Limited. From Exhibition Stadium in Toronto, it's the Oakland A's and the Toronto Blue Jays in Game 1 of this series. And oh, those Blue Jays. They have just suffered through their worst month in franchise history with a record of 9 wins, 16 losses. But I guess the best news might be that they're still only 3.5 games out. A lot of things have happened. The other day, Pat Gillick, of course, trading Jesse Barfield to the New York Yankees for left-hander Al Leiter. And I think that's a pretty good trade, Buck Martinez.
Well, Leiter's got one of the best young arms in all of baseball, and Pat Gillick made a deal. Barfield was moved to the platoon situation. It was a good deal for him to go to New York, get a chance to play every day, and regain his confidence. He's been a bit sporadic the last couple of years, and Jesse just simply needs some time to play. Leiter, on the other hand, has had problems with control, but boy, he's got a good live arm, and they're really encouraged by that.
It was interesting at the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame dinner last night. Whitey Ford got up and spoke, and he had some nice things to say about Al Leiter in saying that this young man has a chance to be a superstar.
Well, he's only 23 years old, and there's certainly a lot of promise. Al Widmar, the pitching coach, is dying to work with that potential.
And Whitey Ford has worked with Leiter in the Yankees camp the last couple of years. There is a delay here in tonight's ball game. The temperature 43 degrees. And we do have a light rain falling. You can see the umbrellas out. They tell us there is going to be a baseball game tonight, and we can't tell you yet what time it's going to start. So a lot of things have happened, Buck, with the trade. Tony Fernandez, the best news tonight for the Blue Jays is the fact that he is back in the lineup after being out for 25 days.
That's amazing, Ferg, that he got back in 25 days after being hit in the face. He was very fortunate that he didn't receive some severe damage, but the entire tone of the evening was set when Tony walked in the clubhouse for the first time. Everybody gave him a nice little round of applause. They were all happy to see him back.
And they should be happy, because make no mistake about it, he's the leader in this ball club.
He certainly is.
When you lose him, you've got some serious problems. But as we said, the best news for the Blue Jays, other than Fernandez is back, is the fact that they are still only 3.5 games back. And it's hard to believe the way this ball club is played. They've had a lot of tough luck, but the bats have really gone cold. And the bullpen, they've been hurting as well.
Well, the fact of the matter is they haven't been able to come up with a clutch hitting. And you look at the Yankees on top. They started out 1-7. So that tells you that anything's possible. You can get it turned around. And the Blue Jays, along with the Tigers, really struggling down there at the bottom of the East. But they're still within striking distance. They're only 4 games back in the loss column.
Buck, remember our second telecast of the season on TSN at Yankee Stadium when Dave Stieb hit the Yankees, beat them 8-0, and really the Yankees looked pathetic, I thought, that night, and they looked like they had some problems, but they did turn it around.
Well, they did turn it around, and you remember with that whole series, Dallas Green said, these people stink. They're playing terrible baseball, and he came right out and told everybody. First of all, he told the players, and then he agreed with the fans when they were booing the efforts of the Yankees. But they have turned it around, and you got to give them a lot of credit.
You look at Baltimore, 12-12. Today, Jeff Ballard, who has a record of 5-0, has been named the American League Pitcher of the Month. And how about Fred McGriff of the Blue Jays, the American League Player of the Month? And McGriff with some outstanding credentials, and we all thought and know that he will be a superstar. There's no question about that. He's got his 7 home runs and hitting .315. But you look over at the West Division, they used to be the weak sister. No longer they are.
Well, you look at the Texas Rangers at 17-6 in first place, but they've got to be looking at that Oakland ball club right behind them. Oakland hasn't had Canseco in the lineup all year long. McGwire has been out quite a while with some back problems, and they're 18-8. The little guys on this team, the Gallegos and the Glenn Hubbards, the Polonias and Tony Phillips, have really come through during this adverse time. So often we talk about the Blue Jays, how they miss Tony Fernandez. No one misses a player more than Canseco and McGwire out of the lineup, but you got to give the other players on that team a lot of credit, along with Tony La Russa, for saying, hey, fellas, it's going to be a rough go, but let's suck up our belts a little bit and really go after them. And this team has kept pace with the Texas Rangers, as hot as the Rangers have been.
Canseco hasn't even played. McGwire has only played in 14 games. By the way, as as you look at Mark McGwire there, the Oakland A's announced today that Canseco has been assigned to Huntsville on a rehab program. Apparently, he has been hitting off the tee, and they say that he'll get into a game down there in the next couple of days.
Well, he's going to stay in Oakland for a while. Ron Schuler, the special assistant for the Oakland A's general manager, Sandy Alderson, has been throwing batting practice to Canseco. He took 100 swings the other day, and they were amazed at how far he's come. So he'll be down to AA in Huntsville, try to get his stroke together, and things should work out.
Remember the little outfielder in spring training, Junior Felix? Well, he's been called up. What an exciting young player. He's not in the starting lineup tonight. I'm sure that you'll see him in the next couple of days, but this guy can run, he can throw, and let's hope that he can hit on a major league level.
Well, they need a little spark now. Along with Tony Fernandez, Junior Felix might be that spark. He's got good speed. We've seen him hit with some power, some authority, hits from both sides, and I think he's a very exciting young player. Whether or not he's ready for Major League Ball right now, we'll see, but I'm sure that Jimmy Williams is going to give him a chance to get right in that lineup and contribute. This offense needs a spark.
The Friday night that Tony Fernandez was injured down in Texas, of course, the Blue Jays had won 3 out of 4. Well, since he's been out, they're 6 and 12, and there's no question about it what a difference he makes. As you look in at the scoreboard, the American League from yesterday in games played, Royce, a nice job for Chicago, and Detroit, another team that is really struggling. A lot of veterans. They're 8 and 15. They lose again today, so now they're 8 and 16.
And Jack Morris is 0 and 6. He'll be glad to get April behind him, that's for sure. The Red Sox continue to swing the bats. 13 runs against the Twins as the Twins pitching begins to struggle and continues to struggle, that is.
What I find interesting, Buck, nobody in the East Division has really grabbed the bull by the horns and started to run away. The Yankees in Baltimore playing 500 at 12 and 12. Now, this is the year, and we all said it in spring training, any team that gets out of the box, they're going to be tough to catch.
Well, you look back to '84 when the Tigers got on that big streak. The Blue Jays were 24 and 14, 8 games out of first place. So they are very fortunate this year, and I think that's the key that it finally got Pat Gillick to go ahead and push that deal through, because he said, hey, as bad as we're playing, we're only 3.5 games out of this thing, and we can string together a good month of May and hopefully get right back in this pennant race.
I think a surprise in the National League has to be the St. Louis Cardinals, the way they're playing. They had lots of pitching problems in spring training, and they seem to have turned it around. They beat San Diego yesterday 6-0, and the Cards right now have a 1-game lead over the Mets. The Mets didn't get out of the box, but now they're starting to put it together. Dwight Gooden is the Gooden of old.
The thing about the Cardinals, Whitey Herzog can figure out some way to put a team together. He is such a genius as far as manipulating the pitching staff, getting the best out of that bullpen, and he'll move the people around until he comes up with the right combination. We know the kind of offense they have. At the top of the lineup, they got Coleman, Smith, then they got Bernansky and Guerrero. So the Cardinals, if they get a little pitching help, they just got McGrain back healthy again, so they might be a force to reckon with in that East.
I think they're pretty excited in Montreal, too. Even though the club is 1 game over 500, they've got an outstanding pitching staff, and they'll make a little noise over there. As you can see, they're taking the tarp off the infield, and there's the temperature, 43 degrees Fahrenheit. The winds north-northwest, 20 to 35 kilometers. A light rain falling, and it looks like this game will get underway in the next 10 or 15 minutes. So we are going to play tonight, make no mistake about that. It's the Oakland A's and the Toronto Blue Jays. And Buck, you've been there. You've been in that dressing room when things have been going bad. What do? What does Jimmy Williams have to do?
Well, the thing is that Jimmy Williams can't do an awful lot. He's got to rely on the players to do it themselves, because in the final analysis, the players on the field get everything done, and they've got to do it. Look in the mirror saying, am I doing what's necessary to come through?
All right, we've just been informed that the game will officially start at 8 o'clock tonight at Exhibition Stadium. So make sure you stay with us. It's the Oakland A's and the Toronto Blue Jays. You're watching Labatt's Blue Jays baseball on TSN.
Tony La Russa, your ball club lost in the World Series to the Dodgers. Is that a little bit of motivation for your ball team this year?
I look at it that way, Buck. It's just a little motivation. I think 6 months that you play, once in a while when you're a little sluggish and you need a little extra, we can get a little juice going, because last year we missed the World Series. But more than anything else, that would wear out in a hurry. We want something that's more positive, and our motivation this year is basically the competition and the chance, starting out fresh, to prove that we're the best club again.
Well, Dennis Eckersley has led that bullpen for the Oakland A's, and you know the job that he did last year, and he's right back doing it again this year. And one of the big problems with the Blue Jays so far this season, they have not gotten anything out of their bullpen. You know, if you look, really it has been a disaster, giving up 14 runs in past 15 innings out on that western swing. So it has not been a picnic for the bullpen.
Well, we believe that they've got more talent than that down there. Last year, Dwayne Ward and Tom Hickey saved 40 games. Naturally, this isn't last year. You need them to come around. There's a look at the umpires tonight. Crew Chief Davey Phillips behind the plate. Rick Reed, Tim Johnson, and Al Clark finish up the crew as Johnny McGwire, the third base coach for the Blue Jays, meets with the umpires, exchange lineups with Tony La Russa.
And there's been a lot of talk about this man, Jimmy Williams. He's on the hot seat, make no mistake about that. Williams is trying to get this club turned around. He's talking to Mike Squires, his first base coach. Dedicated manager who has taken a lot of criticism. No question about that. The other day out in Anaheim, Jimmy Key had thrown 80 pitches, and he pulled him out of the ball game. And the reporters asked Key, how come you're out? He said, ask the manager. He said, I felt good. So, you know, why do you take a Jimmy Key out of the game? But when you're losing, you can naturally criticize the manager, I think.
He's the first guy you criticize because he's the only one that's in that position. The rest of the players, there's 24 of them. They all got to perform a duty. Jimmy Williams has to make some decisions, and his decisions are on the line every night. But basically, the reason this club hasn't performed well in the month of April, they simply haven't come through with the clutch hitting. The pitching has walked too many guys, and everybody knows that. We're not saying anything that these guys right here don't know. George Bell hasn't gotten them tracked with the bat yet, and it's a matter of coming up with some key hits. They've had the runners on base, but they get a base hit here or there. They win 5 out of the 7 games on that road trip.
Well, Buck, would you trade an everyday player for a pitcher, a starting pitcher?
When you can come up with a guy with the promise of Al Leiter for Jesse Barfield, who is in the last year of a contract, struggling around 200 in a situation where you're going to platooning and he's not happy, it's probably the best thing you could have done for the club.
Well, I don't think there's any doubt about it. You have to make that deal simply because Al Leiter is a young man who could really help this ball club, but the bottom line in baseball is pitching is the name of the game. And this man right here, Dave Stieb, who is 2-0, making his 6th start. He is 8-11 lifetime against the Oakland A's. He has lost 4 straight to Oakland, but he has been running hot and cold. If you look last year at his record, he was 6-0 in the month of May. So here he is pitching the first game for the Jays in the month of May. Let's hope he can come up with the same numbers.
Go check the calendar, Dave. It's May 2nd. There's a look at the Oakland A's lineup. Louis Polonia leads it off. Dave Henderson in center field has continued where he left off last year, hitting over 300. The veteran Dave Parker's the DH. He hasn't come around with a bat yet. Mark McGwire just off the DL last week with some back problems. The catcher's Ron Hassey. Carney Lansford over third base, over 300 already. Tony Phillips, one of the little guys that's really come through when Canseco and McGwire are out of the lineup. He's batting .333. Stan Javier is in right field, and the Rookie of the Year last year, Wolf Weiss, plays shortstop and bats ninth.
Well, Polonia is the igniter for that Oakland offense. If he can get on base, you've got the big guns sitting right behind him. As far as the defense is concerned for the Jays, you got Bell, Mosby, and Ducey in the outfield. It sure is going to seem strange, not to mention Barfield's name out there.
Well, there's always change in everything, and Ducey deserves a shot right there. Rob Ducey, the youngster out there, had a great spring.
And Tony Fernandez, welcome back, Mr. Shortstop. It's good to see you again, isn't it?
He's happy to be here, I tell you. He said he didn't want to talk to us tonight. He simply wanted to go back and play, get comfortable again. Everybody, of course, very concerned for his well-being. It looked like this was going to be the year he put everything together. And he came out and unfortunately got hit 25 days ago. But what a story for him to be back in the lineup already.
We should keep in mind we'll be watching his first at-bat tonight, and you'll be wondering if he'll be flinching on a pitch that might be a little inside and how he's going to handle that situation. Polonia leads it off and takes a ball from Dave Stieb. Polonia last year hit close to 400 against the Blue Jays. He's already 2 for 2 this year. High chopper to Stieb for the first out.
The center fielder, number 42.
8-11 in the career. Last year, Stieb lost 2 complete game decisions to the Oakland A's. He lost one to Dave Stewart, 2-1 in 10 innings, and then Storm Davis beat him 4-1. But Dave pitched very well against Oakland last year, just didn't fare very well.
Dave Henderson steps in for the Oakland A's, and what a career year he had last year. Named the comeback player of the year, hit over 300, 24 home runs, and oh, he hits it. Henderson doesn't even look at Stieb and heads to first.
That was an off-speed fastball. Stieb was trying to take something off and sink it in on him. You can see that it doesn't have the real good velocity, but there's so much movement on it, Henderson just couldn't duck out of the way. Caught him right on the elbow. Just kind of a get-ahead fastball. He was brushing inside. He didn't really bust that ball in on him. Just moved inside. Henderson couldn't get out of the way.
Well, that's the first hit batter for Stieb this year. He led the club in that department. In fact, he's led the team for the last 5 years in that department. Likes to pitch in tight. Parker, the DH. He's off to a slow start. In fact, he's in a terrible slump. Just 3 hits in his last 45 plate appearances. But he can take it deep in an awful quick hurry.
Well, Parker's bat slowed down a bit, but he can still handle that ball out over the plate. The book on Parker is you try to run the fastball up on the inner half of the plate. But if he can sit on a pitch where he has a good idea you're going to come in there, he can turn on it.
Henderson does not have a stolen base. And he's standing down there with the American League Player of the Month, the big Fred McGwire. Fred with a .315 average, 7 home runs, 17 RBIs. Ground ball should be 2. Fernandez, double play, easy does it.
Tony Fernandez contributes in his first inning back on the field. Dave Parker hits a tailor-made ball to shortstop. Fernandez drops down, gets Henderson out of the way, over to McGriff for the double play. Good to see Tony back.
I'll say. No score, the Blue Jays and the A's. You're watching Labatt's Blue Jays baseball on TSN. Bob Welch, with a record of 3-2, opened up this season, allowing just 1 earned run in his first 17 innings pitched. But tonight he's making a 6th start. Last year he was 17-9 in 36 starts. And this is the lineup they'll be facing: Mosby, Fernandez, McGriff batting in the number 3 spot. Bell, Witt, Mullenix borders the DH tonight. Liriano at second, and Rob Ducey hitting 9th in the order. So Mosby steps in, catches the inside part of the plate. Manager Tony La Russa looking on.
La Russa's team 8-2 the last 10 games. Welch will try to establish that fastball early in the game. He's got a good, hard, riding fastball. Combines that with an overhand hook. There's the fastball.
Pretty good one. Mosby's, over the last 13 games, only been hitting .138. And you need your leadoff hitter to set the table for you. Mosby does lead the club in walks with 15. And Mosby has lived with rumors for the last couple of years, hasn't he, about being traded.
You really can't pay any attention to those. You just got to go out and play every day. Generally, when you hear a lot of talk, nothing happens.
Fouled out of play.
Welch has thrown all fastballs to Mosby. If we take a look at the A's defense around the infield, it's Lansford, Weiss, Phillips, and McGwire. Hassey behind the plate. In the outfield, Polonia, Henderson, and Javier with Welch on the mound.
2 balls and 2 strikes to Lloyd Mosby. First inning, no score. So Mosby goes down and strikes, and that'll bring up Tony Fernandez.
Hassey, what do you think it is that Bob Welch pitches so well to you?
I'm not sure if it's just me, but I think, a lot had to do last year that teams that we were facing were throwing right-handers that day, and I was the guy behind the plate, and he got some wins in a row there with me, and they feel that he feels a lot more comfortable with me behind the plate.
14-3 with Ron Hassey behind the plate as opposed to 3-6 when someone else catches him. So Welch has a lot of confidence in the veteran catcher. That's the key to this game. But boy, what a great sight this is. Tony Fernandez stepping in, first at bat. Curveball.
Ground ball, base hit! Tony Fernandez! And he's going to try for two! Look at him hustle! How about Fernandez?
There is no way I can explain to you what kind of feeling that is for Tony Fernandez right now. A curveball that he jumps all over. It goes off the glove. He hustles around there, but the first at-bat you get after getting hit in the face, you have so many doubts, no matter how confident you are, to step back in and get a base hit. Let me tell you, if that doesn't lift the Blue Jays, nothing will.
What an effort by Tony Fernandez.
You sit around for 25 days and you think, will I ever be comfortable again? That was a purpose pitch. He threw that one right at his knee. Henderson was hit in the first inning. And Welch just kind of matter-of-factly plunked Fred McGriff on the knee.
Now, will there be a warning? Will there be a warning issue?
I don't think there's going to be a warning because you can say, hey, I was trying to bust him inside. Tony La Russa, one of the best managers around. Davey Phillips behind the plate, a veteran umpire. Now he's positioning the defense a bit. He wants McGwire to be close to first base to shorten up McGriff. The second baseman moves over to cut down Fernandez's lead. I don't think there was any doubt about that. He said, hey, we're just going to play a little one-for-one right here. You got to respect the fact he threw down around McGriff's legs.
Hit out into shallow right field. It's going to drop in for a base hit. The bases are loaded. George Bell with a single to the opposite field.
Right into no man's land in front of Javier in right field. He has to play it on the hop. And McGriff and Fernandez do a nice job of base running as they advance just to 90 feet, but Phillips couldn't come up with it. Javier had to take it on the hop.
It's interesting. I've got to mention this, Buck. In the commercial break, in between innings, you turned to me and said, watch out, there will be a retaliation.
That's
The Blue
baseball.
Jay will get hit.
I don't have any problem with that. McGriff is the hot hitter. La Russa didn't go after his head, didn't throw at him up around where he could get hurt, just plunked him in the leg.
Now Ernie Witt with the bases loaded takes a pitch low and away. Ernie's hitting just .214 with runners in scoring position. He is still looking for his first home run. Of course, last year, Ernie finished up with 16 home runs, 70 RBIs. Hitting at a .288 clip right now.
And he's got 9 career homers against the A's.
7 of his 16 hits this season have been for extra bases. Let's see what he can do here. Strike on the outside part of the plate, called by home plate umpire Davey Phillips.
The only curveball Welch has thrown this inning is that curveball that Fernandez hit off the second baseman's glove for a double. I mentioned he was going to try to set the tone with the fastball, and that's what he's done.
Ernie was just 1 for 4 in that Oakland series.
He just threw that ball by Witt. Ernie's a good fastball hitter, but Welch had some mustard on that one, got it upstairs.
Rance Mullenix in the on-deck circle. 1 down, a strikeout by Mosby to lead it off. A double by Fernandez. McGriff hit by a pitch and a single by Bell. The bases are loaded. Outside, 2-2.
This is the situation the Blue Jays have been haunted with all month long. Base runners on, and they can't cash them in. Let's see if they can get this month started off on a right note. Base hit right here, possibly scoring 2.
Well, the team on that West Coast swing hitting 177 with runners in scoring position. And that really tells it all. Fouled out of play.
You can see that Hassey covered up his mask right there to Welch. That tells me they're trying to switch the signs. With McGriff down at second base, standing that long, the veteran Hasse was aware. You can see there's the sign again. They've just switched signs, and now they'll go to another series with McGriff on second base. There's Hasse splashing the signs, given location.
Fouled back out of play. Count remains 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Welch is in a jam here, but he certainly hasn't been hit very hard. Fernandez's double went off the second baseman's glove. Fred McGriff was hit by a pitch, and then George Bell dumped a little single into right field off the end of the bat. But the results are the same. The bases loaded and 1 out.
Well, Witt is hanging tough, isn't he?
Well, this old country baseball right here. Welch is just rearing back and firing, and Ernie's hanging tough, fighting off some pretty good pitches.
Here's the 2-2 pitch.
Only the second curveball of the inning, but the veteran Welch comes up with a big one. Witt had fouled off fastball after fastball, and then he goes to that overhand hook. Nice call by Hasse. Big strikeout for Welch. And now Welch is just 1 out away from getting out of a first inning bases loaded situation.
As Mullenix steps in. He's only got 1 extra base hit of his 15 hits. That was an opening day double in Kansas City. Low and away for a ball.
This is where Rance can really benefit because he has seen Welch throw only 2 curveballs the whole inning. He's been pitching the left-handers away. Now he can look for that fastball on the outside part of the plate, try to drive it over the shortstop's head.
2-0.
A 2-out hit in this situation could set the tone for the whole evening. The Blue Jays have been hard-pressed to drive these runners in. And Mullenix, with only 1 extra base hit, as Fergie mentioned, sure could start things off on the right foot.
Fly ball, left field, Polonia going back. A home run! A grand slam home run for Rance Mullenix. Well, how about Mullenix and the Blue Jays?
Mullenix got in a situation that I mentioned, that he could look for that fastball out over the plate. That's exactly what he got. Boy, you can see it's a different ball club. Fastball out over the plate, took it the other way, hit it into a pretty stiff wind out there. Polonia, the left fielder, knows it's gone. And finally, the Blue Jays cash in on a bases-loaded situation. Watch how he goes after this pitch. He has fastball in his mind. It's down and away in a pretty good spot, but Welch was behind, and Mullenix could really sit on that fastball.
And that ball was hit into the wind. Pitch is inside to Pat Borders. An opposite field home run for Rance Mullenix. His first of the season. He now has 10 RBIs. A 4-0 Blue Jay lead.
Now Welch is falling behind with 2 breaking pitches to Borders.
If I'm not mistaken, that might be Rance's first career grand slam. We'll get our stats man, John Pickett, to check into that for you. 3-0.
This is something that's plagued Welch throughout his career, his emotions. He was 1 out away from getting out of a bases-loaded jam. Now he gives up a grand slam to Mullenix. He's down 4-0 in the first inning, and he falls behind the next batter 3-0. So for a veteran pitcher, it's a little bit surprising to see that Welch struggles with his emotions so much.
Dave Duncan, the pitching coach. Borders on with a walk. For Mullenix, yes, that is his first career grand slam home run. The club leader, George Bell, with 6. Barfield had 3. Mosby and Witt each have a pair. So Nelson Liriano, who has broken up a couple of no-hit bids, and Mike Witt even had one in the 5th inning out in Anaheim, and he got the first hit off him. Takes a strike from Welch. Well, finally the Blue Jays have come through with runners in scoring position. It has been a while.
Welch has got good stuff. The only ball that was hit hard was Molnick's home run. But it just came at a very inopportune time. Fernandez's double was hit off the second baseman's glove. Then Fred McGriff was hit by a pitch. George Bell dunked a little single in front of Javier in right field.
And let me remind you, and I'm sure I don't have to, but I will anyway, a 4-run lead is not a comfortable lead against Oakland.
But the Blue Jays have to be smart by the way Fernandez got up there, swung at the first pitch.
Yep.
Got a double.
Liriano goes down, so Welch strikes out the side, but gives up a grand slam home run. If you look at the home run hit by Molnick, there's that swing. Picture perfect. 4-0. The Blue Jays lead it after 1. You're watching Labatt's Blue Jays baseball on TSN.
As a hitter than anybody, what's causing you the most problem right now at the plate?
I think basically for myself, I've been in a little bit of a mental slump. I've really been fighting myself mentally. And, when you start doing that, you can't really make up your mind what you want to try to do at the plate or what you want to try to do in extra work to get out of the slump. And I think for me, basically, it's been, I've been thinking about it, been a little bit of a mental slump. And tonight I'm just going to try to clear my mind and go up there and see if that'll work, and hopefully it will.
Evidently it is working. He got that grand slam, his first career grand slam. Good start for Rents in the month of May.
Mark McGwire takes a strike from Dave Stieb here to open up the 2nd inning. Blue Jays leading it 4-0 in case you've just joined us. Hasse and Lansford will follow McGwire. McGwire has played 11 games here at Exhibition Stadium. Has hit 5 home runs and driven in 12. That's a career for some players. Almost. Ground ball. Steve hustles over, makes an easy put out.
I don't think any pitcher in the big leagues covers as much ground as Dave Stieb off the mound. He really got off there quickly. You can see how far over towards the line he ranged. Just a few feet off the foul line, and then turned and fired to first base. He can really get off that mound.
That brings up the catcher, Ron Hasse. Hasse's a player who's been traded 5 times. He was with La Russa when Tony managed the Chicago White Sox. Hit his first major league home run back in '78 off Nolan Ryan.
And that's the type of hitter he is. A real good fastball hitter, likes the ball inner half and down. If you have success against Hasse, generally you're getting the fastball above the belt on the inner half and throwing that slider in on his hands.
Steve has fallen behind 2-0. Ground ball up the middle, base hit. So with Hasse on, that'll bring up the third baseman, Carney Lansford.
Fastball right down the middle. Just takes it back up the middle. Steve can't get this one. And Hasse has the first hit of the night for the A's.
Notice how his fastball was tailing?
Good moving fastball. He's had the good movement all year long. But the thing that I've liked so much is his composure. He pitched that 1/3 of an inning, got roughed up against the Royals, walked off the mound, sat down on the bench. That's not the Dave Stieb that we used to. That's a good sign for the club as he starts off Lansford with a slider.
Carney Lansford, he struck out twice. That's it this season. Good contact hitter. Safely in 14 of the last 17 games as Steve evens up the count at 1-1.
Lansford will put it in play. got off to a great start last year. Took a 400 average right into June, but boy, the second half was miserable for him.
Hit below 200, didn't he? Passy at first. 2 balls and a strike.
Beaten right into the ground. That had good movement on that sinking fastball. Stieb trying to coax a ground ball off the bat of Lansford. But he's really come into his own this year. I think the problems he's had with his elbow over the past are behind him now. He's got that good, hard-breaking slider again. Confident in his sinking fastball.
I think the Jays have got a good chance to get back to 500 in this homestand. They're playing 2 against Oakland tonight and tomorrow, and then 4 against the California Angels, and then 3 against Seattle. And then they hit the road for a 3-game series in Minnesota. And of course on Thursday they'll be out in Regina. That's May the 11th for that exhibition game against the National Baseball Institute.
Passy, no threat to run at first.
None whatsoever.
Dave McKay, the former Blue Jay, the first base coach for the A's.
Fouled out of play. Count remains at 2-2.
Carney Lansford is especially tough with 2 strikes. He's that short stroke kind of hitter that just stands up there, waits for the pitcher to deliver the ball, and then he makes up his mind what he wants to do with it. He'll take it wherever it's pitched, and he really fights the ball off well. He's got an inside-out swing. Can really hit that ball hard to the right side of the infield. There's a big hole between first and second.
That ball gets away from Witt, and Hasse will head on down to second.
That should be scored a pass ball as it just handcuffed Ernie. He tried to backhand that ball, and Steve had a little bit of movement on it. Watched the ball down and away. Looks like Witt thought the ball was coming inside, and then it was thrown outside, so maybe he got crossed up on location.
Went off the heel of his glove.
But certainly a catchable ball.
So the count is full to Carney Lansford with Hasse down at second. Second inning, 4-0. It has been scored a pass ball. Joe Sawchuk is the official scorer tonight. Inside, and Lansford is on with a walk.
You hate to see those walks in a situation, second inning, when you got a 4-run lead. You want to go right after them. The worst that Lansford can do is hit a 2-run homer, and you're still ahead by 2, but Steve lets one get away here inside. Now he's got a couple of runners on with 1 out.
That's the 13th walk issued by Steve this season in 31 innings. And that's been one of the big problems for the Jays pitching staff, especially the bullpen. Tony Phillips. Phillips on a 7-game hitting streak.
Now Steve is trying to find the corners. He took something off that fastball. This is what's frustrating when you're a catcher sitting out there and you got a 4-run lead. Steve has got good stuff tonight. You'd like to see him come right at those hitters. Took a little bit off that fastball and found the mark that time. One thing the Jays can't do, they can't get in a defensive mode, trying to prevent losses instead of winning games. And I think they've done that a little bit towards the end of this past month. They said, well, let's make sure we don't lose instead of thinking about how we're going to win. Fernandez kind of set that win tone again tonight.
A little outside, 2-1. Remember, the Oakland A's last year did not lose a game here in Toronto. They were 6-0, 9-3 on the season. And already they're 2-0 this year. fact, the 80 career losses by Toronto to Oakland is the most against any Western Division team. The 2-1 pitch.
Phillips has been a very pleasant surprise during Canseco and McGwire's absence. Little guy can do so many things, playing the infield, playing the outfield. And you know, he really did a good job looking back to the playoff series last year when La Russa put him in left field, trying to improve the defense out there against the Red Sox. And Phillips came up with some nice defensive plays. Plus, he chipped in with the bat. Very valuable guy to have around because he can play shortstop, second, infield, and he can move to the outfield if you need him.
The A's seem to have a lot of versatility on their club. The 2-2 pitch. First strikeout of the ball game for Dave Stieb. 2 down.
That time he went with the little short break and slider. He gets it right on Phillips' hands. It's not that big sweeping slider, but he kind of flattens it out almost like a cut fastball.
That'll bring up Stan Javier, the right fielder. He's hitting over 300. Talk about versatility. Here's another player. He played more than one position in 31 different games last year. Came to Oakland in that Ricky Henderson deal back in '84. He's a speedster. Passy at second, Lansford at first, 2 down. The Jays lead it 4-0. Ground ball, Fred McGriff. He'll make the unassisted putout. So Stieb and the Blue Jays get out of a second inning jam as the Oakland A's leave a couple of runners stranded. We head to the bottom of the second, 4-0, Toronto leads. You're watching Labatt's Blue Jays baseball on TSN. The A&P first inning, and it was capped off by a grand slam home run from Rance Mullenix. The Jays lead at 4-0. So Rob Ducey, the number 9 hitter in the order, will lead things off here in the bottom of the second at Exhibition Stadium in Toronto. 43 degrees at game time. It has stopped raining. The game was delayed a half hour from starting. But I guess it was worth the wait so far for Blue Jay fans. Ducey was told out in California that he'd be platooning with Barfield. As he lines that one inside the foul line, a base hit into the corner. Ducey will have 2 at least. And he's got a double. His second of the season.
In what appears to be Ducey's first start as a regular in the outfield, he comes through with a big double right here. Curveball outside. This is the difference that Ducey has made. He's patient enough to take that ball down the left field line, not try to pull everything, and the youngsters really come into his own. 18 RBIs in spring training. He had a great stroke going all spring long. He had to sit back for the month of April, but now he gets a chance to play.
Mosby struck out in the first inning. And it sure had to be disheartening for Ducey after such a great spring to be sitting on the bench when the season opened up. But in this game, you have to wait for your breaks, and when you do get a break, you got to take an opportunity and make good of it.
Well, that's what he's done. He stayed mentally prepared, kept himself ready to go, took a lot of extra batting practice. His time has arrived here.
Mosby looking for just his 7th run batted in this season.
Passy got that right on the bare hand. Fouled at the plate, and it caught him right on the exposed hands, fingertips. As cold as it is, that has to be miserable. But you keep your hand relaxed. That bare hand, trainer Barry Weinberg out. Now to check him out. Watch his bare hand. Down behind him, right by the shin guard. He brings it up, catches it right on that flexed hand, and that's what saved him from a possible broken finger. The fact that he keeps it nice and relaxed, and when it got hit, it gave way, so it kind of absorbed that blow a little bit.
Notice where he's got it now.
Well, he got a little lazy, and that thing just creeped out around that shin guard. It got burnt.
2 balls and 2 strikes to Mosby. Welch struck out the side in the first inning. That pitch is inside. And he gave up 3 hits.
Got him again. Hassey's having a tough at bat. That one got him on the foot. Oh, to be a catcher. Got a smile, Hass. Overhand curveball. Watch Mosby beat it into the ground. Just barely goes off Hassey's glove, but catches him on the inside of that right foot.
I almost feel that one up here.
Nope. That hurts. Going away right here. Should be a fastball.
Ground ball down to Weiss, the shortstop. He'll check Ducey, fire across, and Mosby's out of there.
Ducey couldn't advance as that ground ball was ahead of him. That's the standard you go by. If it's in front of you when you're on second base, Mosby couldn't pull this outside fastball. Good pitch by Welch. And Ducey has to hold up, goes back to second base as Weiss fires across the infield.
Listen to the round of applause for Tony Fernandez as he makes his way into the batter's box. He electrified the crowd here in the first inning with a double up the middle off the glove of the second baseman Tony Phillips, and Tony Fernandez showed a lot of hustle and took that extra base.
Look at that front flap of Fernandez. It's been extended down to protect that area where he was hit. Remember, he was hit batting left-handed by Cecilio Guante. Caught him right on the cheekbone, and you can see that extra protection built over that flap. Fernandez normally wears just one flap helmet, but for the time being, he's going to wear that 2-flapper.
When Guante hit him, I found it interesting, Tony Fernandez's remarks after, when he said he normally doesn't pick up the ball until it's halfway home.
Generally, what you hear batters say is they focus in on an area above the pitcher's shoulder where the ball will appear first, but Fernandez told us, hey, I don't pick it up till halfway home, then I make a decision. That's really putting a lot of pressure on yourself and relying so much on your reflexes that you just wait till the last moment and then just snap at the ball. But his record stands for itself. That's working for him. But you can talk to Boggs and Brett, Mattingly, and all those guys, and they try to focus in on that area right above the pitcher's shoulder.
The 2-1 pitch, fouled back. Well, he's taken a lot of BP. He's worked on a lot of ground balls the past 10 days.
You know, it'd be very easy for Fernandez to say, hey, why does everything happen to me? He's had so many really serious injuries. But you really got to respect him because he's worked so hard. And he's back in the lineup after 25 days being hit in the face.
Buck, we saw the injuries he had last year, and we saw the pain that he was in. Ground ball in front of the plate. Hassey out in front. They get Fernandez. But on the play, Ducey moves on down to third. We saw the pain that Tony played in last year, first half of the season, and when you looked at his final numbers, you saw where he only missed 6 games, and 1 or 2 games was due to a death in the family.
Here's a look at Hassey, a little squibber in front of the mound. Off the end of the bat, Fernandez is thrown out at first. Ducey moves down, but I tell you, Fernandez is just really an inspiration to this whole club. It seems like they lift the whole spirit of the ball club up. You could feel it when he walked into the clubhouse tonight.
Fred McGriff was hit by a pitch on the knee from Bob Welch in the first inning. A purpose pitch after Henderson was hit by Stieb in the top half of the first.
Player of the month for April. Congratulations, Fred. You know, there were some pretty good months around. Julio Franco for the Rangers had an outstanding month. Pete O'Brien for the Cleveland Indians.
Well, the Blue Jays in that 7-game Western swing scored a total of 20 runs, and McGriff knocked in 9 of them. 12 RBIs in the last 13 games. That's foul. Boy, it's amazing. As cold as it is out here, these fans are dressed to the hilt, and they're here to welcome home their Blue Jays.
There aren't too many ballparks in the American League that would get this kind of crowd on a night like tonight. These fans deserve a lot of credit.
Well, it's something you expect here in Toronto. And if you didn't see this, then you'd really be concerned.
Well, wait till you get that dome covered up and they start playing in there. You're going to expect 40,000 every night.
I think I'll wear my shorts the first night.
I think they'll laugh at you. Those are
No
bony
doubt
knees.
about that. The 2-2 pitch, a ground ball. McGwire, the first baseman, will flip it to Welch, and they get McGriff. So Ducey is left stranded, and through 2 innings here in Toronto, the Jays lead it 4-0. You're watching Labatt's Blue Jays baseball on TSN. Stieb has given up just 1 hit through the first 2 innings, a single to Ron Hasse, as the Jays lead it 4-0. A reminder, tomorrow night, Mike Moore will go to the mound for Oakland against Mike Flanagan. Moore is 3-11 lifetime against the Blue Jays. Flanagan 16-7 lifetime against Oakland. But tonight the job belongs to Dave Stieb, and so far so good. He's been not outstanding, but he's done a pretty good job. Dave Parker hit into a double play to end the first inning as Fernandez made that DP. Now Walt Weiss, the American League Rookie of the Year last year, leads it off. Weiss has been in a slump. Last 10 days, his average has slipped 100 points. You know, if you look back to the World Series last year, he only had 1 hit, but he really made some spectacular plays, didn't he?
He was outstanding defensively, but so many of those A's struggle with that Dodger pitching. McGwire, Canseco as well only had 1 hit. Canseco hit a grand slam in game 1. McGwire hit a home run. They only had 2 hits in the whole series.
Fernandez, 1 down. The Blue Jays placed Manny Lee on the disabled list today, retroactive to this past Sunday. But I thought he did a decent job. Shortstop, while Fernandez was gone.
He can certainly catch the ball. Got good range, but Fernandez is the man they need there. Polonia grounded out his first at bat. Good fastball hitter. He's kind of one of those spark guys himself. Curveball beaten foul. But Polonia will make things happen.
He's a lifetime .356 hitter against these Blue Jays.
I can remember a home run he hit left center off Jim Clancy 2 years ago.
He's only 5'8", 155 pounds as he punches that one foul down beside the Blue Jay dugout.
He'll have to get a new club. Broke that bat. You know, La Russa used Polonia 54 times last year in the leadoff spot. He hit safely in 44 of those games. That's getting it done pretty well. And they've got so many players like Polonia. Really kind of interchangeable parts. Polonia, Javier, Phillips. They can all come in there as they've done this first month when the Bash brothers were out of there, Canseco and McGwire, and the little guys have really picked up the slack to the tune of 18-8, just a half game behind the Rangers.
You know, you look at the past 13 games that the Jays have played, only 3 times they've managed to out-hit the opposition. That's how cold the bats have been. A strikeout for Stieb, his second of the ball game.
This time Stieb goes to the curveball. Down and in, and Polonia out in front. That's the book. If you can get that breaking ball anywhere around the plate, you'll generally have pretty good luck with Polonia. Henderson was hit his first at bat. Stieb plunked him on the elbow with a fastball.
Curveball for a strike. You know, Henderson seems to be the type of player you never really notice him, but at the end of the year you look at his numbers. He's hit 300, hit over 20 home runs, and driven in close to 100.
Well, you know, he was kind of in obscurity out there in Seattle for all those years and got a chance to play last year on a regular basis.
Base hit, left center field. Bell goes over, can't cut it off. Henderson will have at least a double. It looked like George might have got a bad jump on that ball.
Well, the turf is wet out there, and that ball skipped on him, but this is pretty good payback for Henderson. He was hit in the first inning and hits a pretty tough pitch off Stieb, a breaking ball that was down and away with 2 strikes. Watch the ball skip when it hits this wet turf. Goes all the way to the alley in left center. It's been raining most of the evening here. They had the tarp on the infield portion, but that outfield is soaking wet, and that ball really took off when it hit the turf.
Now big 6'5" Dave Parker steps in. Get into a double play in the first inning. The Oakland A's threatened in the first, again in the second, and here they're threatening again in the third. So it has not been easy for Stieb tonight, although the A's have been held scoreless. Break a hand tonight, reaching up for a foul ball.
I don't even know why you'd want to reach for one tonight. As cold as it is, you can see everybody bundled up. They've got their hooded sweatshirts on, and that's right
He's
there.
got his glove. He's all right.
But he missed it. He didn't have the ball, though. Fan.
Yeah.
And so Elmer Fan over there.
Pretty cocky, though. He's telling him it looks like he caught it. Here's the 0-2 pitch. Ground ball, Mullenix. Flips it across to McGriff for the third out. So Henderson is left stranded. And we head to the bottom of the third. The Blue Jays sitting on a 4-run lead. You're watching Labatt's Blue Jays baseball on TSN. George Bell steps in the batter's box. The bottom of the third inning here at Exhibition Stadium in Toronto. The Blue Jays, thanks to a grand slam home run hit by Rance Mullenix in the first inning, lead it 4-0. Bell in a Texas leaguer out into right field that dropped in between Javier and Phillips to load the bases.
George hasn't driven in a run in the last 8 games. They certainly have to get a little more production out of him.
Line to center field. Henderson misjudged it, but made the play. He came in. Look at that smile.
He's a very good athlete, and he really reacts well here after making an initial bad step on the line drive. It was hit so low that he thought it might come in front of him, but then it was hit so hard that it kind of took off on him. But he's such a good athlete. After he made one step in, he recovers and makes a fine running grab. Takes away extra bases from George Bell. Nice play by the A's center fielder.
Now Ernie Witt, another curveball, and that's the pitch that struck him out back in the first inning. That was not an easy play for Henderson, as you said. As hard as that ball was hit by Bell, it really just took off.
Well, because it was hit on a line, he felt that it was going to fall in front of him, but Bell hit it so hard it took off.
Hit down to McGwire, the first baseman. He'll flip it over to Welch for out number 2.
Good to have McGwire back over at first base. He had some back problems, some lower back problems that plagued him a bit last year, but he had an outstanding spring and has hit 5 home runs so far this year. So McGwire is really an important key to this ball club's success.
Well, he is, but they did all right without him. 18-8. He missed 14 games.
They went 10-4 during that stretch when he was out. But I guarantee you, Lewis is much happier with him in the lineup than him on the bench.
Mullenix in the first inning hit a pitch over the left field wall with the bases loaded to give the Jays a 4-0 lead. His first home run of the season. He now has 10 runs batted in. And just his second extra base hit. A double opening day in Kansas City and a home run here tonight. Good fastball.
Welch has had good stuff. That double that Ducey hit down the left field line and the home run by Mullenix, the only balls that have really been hit hard for base hits. Right by him. Just blew that fastball right by him. Welch has got good stuff. He's keeping the A's in this game. Upstairs with the fastball. Mullenix a good hitter, but he's a little bit behind that one.
So after 3, the Jays still lead 4-0. You're watching Labatt's Blue Jays baseball on TSN. Now, let's go to this TSN sports update.
Tony La Russa, there's a little saying around your clubhouse, 9 hard innings.
Well, I think it's just consistent with what I believe about this team, which is that we have a lot of competitors, Buck, and, you know, it's kind of professional approach that you look at a ball game as being 9 complete. Sometimes you get ahead, well, you better work to stay ahead. Don't ever take it for granted the other club's beat. If you get behind, make sure you take all your 27 outs and give it your best shot, because once in a while you'll come back and win a game, and all those games are very important when you get totaling them at the end of the year. So our attitude is play 9 hard innings, effort, and play the game right. Let the numbers fall into place.
And when you do that, you can walk away happy at the end of the night saying you put in a good day's work, and that's what La Russa wants his guys to do. And you can bet that that word's going up and down the bench tonight.
McGwire pops it up in the infield. Liriano out in behind second. One away here to lead off the 4th inning.
Liriano not scheduled to play an awful lot this year, but the way things have worked out, first the injury to Fernandez, and now the injury to Manny Lee, and Liriano has played just about every game last 3 weeks. Done a nice job.
He had a couple of rough outings out on that West Coast swing, drop. Ball's in behind second base. There, he bobbles that one. And his 2 errors actually cost the Blue Jays a couple of wins out there.
This ball right here, he kind of times it. Look how he short arms it. Doesn't really get down after it and tries to scoop it up. But the wet turf caused it to stay low, and it went underneath his glove.
That's his 4th error of the season. A break for the Oakland A's. So Carney Lansford steps in. Lansford walked back in the 2nd inning.
Well, the A's are not the type of club that you want to give too many breaks to. They'll take advantage of everything.
Inside to Lansford.
The A's felt like they let one get away last year. They won 104 games in the regular season. They dispatched the Boston Red Sox in 4 straight in the American League Championship Series. And then the Dodgers really finished up a banner year on a sour note for the A's.
Stieb has fallen behind 2-0. It's interesting about Lansford. Last year he had 100 points higher against right-handers than he did left-handers. He's a right-handed hitter.
He likes the ball out over the plate, and the left-handers would get that breaking pitch in on him, tie him up. He likes to get those arms extended and go out over the plate. Right there.
Ground ball could be 2. Fernandez to Liriano. Double play. second double play for Fernandez and Luriano tonight.
Tailor-made double play. Lansford runs well, but this is custom-made. Fernandez to Luriano. Base runner Hasse just has to duck out of the way. Pretty academic. 6-4-3.
And it's a 4-0 lead. Blue Jays leading. You're watching Labatt's Blue Jays baseball on TSN. The Toronto Blue Jays lead it 4-0 after coming off the worst month in their franchise history. They were 9-16. They were 3-10 in their last 13 games as Pat Borders takes a strike. And they've averaged just under 3 runs a game in the last 13. And already they've got 4 here tonight.
Kelly Gruber is still nursing that sprained ankle. Molnick's had to play third base. This has given Borders an opportunity to get some at-bats in the DH spot. Bob Brenly still struggling a bit as the right-handed DH, but the youngster Borders taking advantage of the opportunity. This is his 6th start as the DH. Just outside with the fastball.
2 balls and 2 strikes. He homered off Mike Campbell out in Seattle for his only home run this season. Get down to Lansford, the third baseman, and he's Mr. Automatic. Throws it wide, and Borders is safe. Whoa, you don't see that. They had a sign up on the board that he'd only made 1 error in 302 games. I don't believe that. Seems to me he had more than that.
You put the hex on him first. Whoa. Underhand flip just gets away from him. That's the way he throws the ball over there all the time from the sidearm, but gets away from McGwire.
Stay tuned at the end of the game for the TSN Turning Point, brought to you by Mita.
A Mita long-distance copier or fax machine can reach out and send a copy to someone in just 15 seconds. Mita, all we make are great copiers.
So Lansford charged with an error, and the first pitch to Luriano was a strike. Now Borders dives back in at first. Pat walked in the first inning, and Luriano struck out in the first.
Welch has an outstanding move to first base. He, like Stieb, is a very good fielder, very good athlete on the mound. Coming out of that Dodger farm system, they all had good, quick moves to first base and really feel their position very well. Jimmy Williams might want to hit and run in this situation just to get that momentum back to score a little bit. Welch has kind of shut him off since that first inning grand slam.
Base hit right field for Luriano. Borders will stay at second. The throw is wide, but Lansford makes the play.
Luriano pulls a fastball in the hole on the right side. Javier, the right fielder, playing shallow and right, gets to it easily. Borders has no chance to advance. But the relay throw gets away from Weiss, the shortstop. Lansford has to track it down. Welch backing up the play, but nobody could advance.
So that'll bring up Rob Ducey, who doubled and was stranded at third back in the second inning. Nobody out. Blue Jays leading at 4-0. Jays looking for their 10th win of the season. Tony Fernandez back in the lineup. The first time in 25 days. He really sparked the attack in the first inning with a double up the middle. Off the glove of Phillips.
Ducey hit a curveball down the left field line for the double in his first at bat, checking with third base coach John McLaren with the signs. The A's playing straight away on the infield and the outfield. Todd Burns begins to throw down in the bullpen for the A's. Boy, he's been a pleasant surprise this year as he really has thrown well. Unfortunately for him, he's a starter, and they've already got 5 quality starters, so he's having to work out of the middle.
A little out of the strike zone for Ducey, but that evens up the count at 2-2. A little over anxious.
Boy, Welch has got good stuff. Just that, like to have that one pitch back that he threw Mullinex. He fell behind 2 balls, no strikes, and had to come in with a fastball. Mullinex was looking out over the plate. He jumped all over it. Blew it right by him. The Labatt's player of the game for Toronto will receive something new under the sun. Cannon's new Prima shot, the world's first automatic camera with detachable infrared remote control. Compact with the latest technology and the remarkable removable remote control. As well, an amateur baseball team will be the guest of Cannon at a future Blue Jays game.
With Borders at second, Liriano at first, 1 down. The batter is Lloyd Mosby. Fly ball out to Polonia in left field. And Borders hustles back to second. Mosby tonight 0 for 3. I guess as Lloyd continues to struggle, we'll probably see Junior Felix a little sooner than expected.
Well, you can bet on Junior Felix getting some at-bats, but it might be a situation where Williams would platoon Felix in right field, having Felix bat right-handed. They might go with the youngsters out there in a platoon situation, giving Mosby a little more time to get on track. Welch is hanging tough here. After those 4 runs in the first inning, he's really battled tough. Good curveball.
Ground ball. Phillips, the second baseman, to get Fernandez. So the Blue Jays leave 2 stranded. That's 4 on the game, but they still lead it 4-0. You're watching Labatt Blue Jays baseball on TSN. And he'll be facing Tony Phillips, Stan Javier, and Walt Weiss, the Oakland A's. Stieb has given up just 2 hits, a single in the second inning to Ron Hasse, and a double in the third to Dave Henderson. Henderson hit his to left center field, back to the wall, between Bell and Mosby. Stieb, the all-time leader in wins in the Blue Jays staff with 133. He's 2-0 this season. He beat the New York Yankees 8-0 on a 1-hitter, and then beat the Texas Rangers 6-3. Went 8 innings in that one. Allowed only 3 runs and 4 hits. Both of his wins have stopped Blue Jay losing streaks. And right now, the Jays are on a 4-game losing streak. Phillips struck out in the second. Phillips hitting .329 for Oakland. Stieb falls behind 2-0.
You just don't want to give the A's any encouragement. Come right after them. Keep them down. Welch is doing his best to keep the A's in this thing. And you'd like to see Dave Stieb go right after the offense. It's like that fastball right there. A veteran club like the A's, you don't want to
It's interesting, though, the pitch
get
selection.
them back in the game.
He comes out and he throws 2 breaking balls with the number 7 hitter in the lineup.
Make you scratch your head, won't it?
Yeah, sure does.
And he's trying to be so fine. He's got a 4-run lead. It's the 5th inning. Betcha and Ernie went back there trying to figure out just what Dave wants to do tonight. But he has good movement when he's thrown his sinking fastball. He's shown a good breaking pitch from time to time, but he's pitching from behind so often.
Pitch is low, and Phillips is on with a walk to lead off the 5th inning. Well, the Blue Jays have already turned in a couple of double plays tonight, so they'll be looking for one here with Stan Javier stepping in. He's got lots of speed. Tough man to double up.
Well, the bottom third of this lineup has really come through for Tony La Russa. Phillips, Javier, Gallego, hitting over 400. Walt Weiss, the shortstop. They've really contributed, picked up the slack in a tough tie.
Javier comes into this game hitting just over 300. At 368 is a left-handed hitter.
La Russa might want to get something going here. Trying to get his club back in it. They trail by 4. Phillips has good speed. Javier, a good contact hitter. Might want to start a hit and run against Stieb. There he goes.
There he goes. That's fouled out of play.
Phillips is a very versatile player. We talked about it earlier. He can play in the outfield, play second, short. He certainly chipped in with the bat. Now he'll check in with Dave McKay, the first base coach, reminding him to check the signs over at third. Javier's father, Julian, great second baseman for the St. Louis Cardinals back in the 60s. I love to hear Dizzy Dean try to pronounce his name. He called him Julian Herriar.
McGriff, he'll go to Fernandez, and that's all they get is Tony Phillips at second base.
Not hit hard enough for a double play, and McGriff made sure he made a nice accurate throw to Fernandez for the lead runner. So they get the force at second base. Watch how deliberate McGriff is here. He knows there's no reason to hurry. Just take the force out at second. Phillips running way inside the bag. Fernandez not even thinking about a relay throw to first.
So the number 9 hitter, Walt Weiss, who grounded out to Fernandez in the 3rd inning, steps in. 4-0, the Blue Jays leading it. Rance Mullenix, a grand slam home run in the 1st inning. Blue Jays just 3.5 games behind New York and Baltimore, and that in itself is hard to believe when you look at the Jays record at 9-16.
We'll take it, though.
You darn tootin'. Tell you, it's disheartening for the fans, especially the way the Jays played in spring training, winning 21 ball games. A lot of the fans thought, well, hey, this is the year, and it still might be. But the Jays have to get on track.
Well, they have to be buoyed by the fact that they are 3.5 out. Now they've got Fernandez back in the lineup. He steps in tonight, the first pitch he sees after being hit in the face, and gets a double.
Nobody in this team works harder than Tony Fernandez, the gadget man. The 1-1 pitch, a little inside. Mr. Relaxation, isn't he? Dave Stieb? Boy, what a turnaround.
Nice and calm. I'd like to see him go for the heart of the plate a little bit more tonight, though. He's trying to pitch to the corners a bit. Being maybe a little bit too fine. Javier with good speed gets back easily. I'd like to see Stieb go right for the heart of the plate, especially in the bottom part of this lineup. The bottom part has been effective, but certainly doesn't have the wallop that that top third has.
3-1 he's fallen behind. These walks will drive a pitching coach like Al Whitmar crazy.
Well, it'll also give the opposition some hope of getting back in the game. If Stieb continues to struggle with his control like this, they're going to say, hey, we can get back in this game. He's not that sharp. Wow, he just caught a break right there as Walt Weiss went after a ball 4. Check swing. Javier was running with the pitch. But Stieb was on the verge of walking Weiss, and Weiss couldn't get his bat out of the way.
Well, it was sure nice to see Jesse Barfield in his first at bat in a Yankee uniform. Got a base hit. And he also scored a run, Buck. Nice way to start.
That'll warm the fans up to a new player like Barfield.
He's wearing number 28 for the Yankees. Who was it? He said he's going to try to pay. Who's got 29 on the Yankees?
Dave LaPointe.
Dave LaPointe. He wanted to pay LaPointe $1,000 for that number, but I guess LaPointe said no.
I think it's all academic because that's Catfish's number. They're going to retire it anyway. Catfish Hunter. So LaPointe's not going to have it much longer anyway. He should have taken $1,000 and then Barfield had had to give the uniform up anyway.
I'm sure somebody will remind LaPointe of that.
I'm surprised he missed it.
Yeah. Yankees leading Kansas City 3-2 in the 7th inning.
I think LaRusso will start the runner in this situation with 1 out.
Full count, there he goes. And Liriano, what a play! He gets Weiss for the 2nd out. Great stat.
That's been Liriano's problem, is his inconsistency defensively. We saw him make an error on a relatively easy ball earlier, and then he comes up with this great play to take away a base hit from Walt Weiss.
A scorcher.
Really a tough play because the runner cut right in front of him as the ball got to him. But he takes away a base hit. Nice play by the young second baseman.
So Polonia steps in. He's 0 for 2 tonight. Grounded out in the 1st, struck out in the 3rd.
Polonia still getting a steady diet of breaking pitches from Stieb, having some trouble. Stieb got him on a big breaking curveball back in the 3rd inning. Polonia, real good fastball hitter. James is trying to go with the off-speed pitches. Another one right in there.
So Stieb ahead, 0-2. He has allowed only 2 base hits, a single to Hasse and a double to Dave Henderson.
Just going right after Polonia with hard breaking pitches. Stieb trying to break that one down and in on him, get the left-hander to swing at it. If you're going to throw him a fastball, it's got to be so bad he can't put a bat on it.
Another breaking ball. A ball and 2 strikes. Well, you can hear every sound in the stadium tonight.
Well, you know, the fans feel the presence of Fernandez, too, and it seems like there's a little more enthusiasm as they got that feeling of promise. There's a little spark back in the ball club.
Up the middle, center field, drops in for a base hit. The throw to the plate is cut off by McGriff, and Javier will score. So it is 4-1 on a base hit by Polonia.
Stieb didn't get this ball down. He's got to get it down in the strike zone. You can see it's just a lazy curveball out over the plate. Polonia slaps it into center. This ball right here should go to second base. With 2 outs, there's no chance of getting Javier. Mosby should have just thrown it into second base to keep the runner at first. but McGriff was over to cut it off, and Polonia had to stay at first.
Now Dave Henderson. Hit by a pitch in the first inning and doubled in the third. A pitch out. The Oakland A's finally get to Stieb after having him in trouble the first 3 innings.
He's been on the verge all night long. He really hasn't been real aggressive, kind of pitching defensively. You just feel like he hasn't really been aggressive, gone right after the hitters, especially with a 4-run lead.
Polonia's got 8 stolen bases. That pitch backs Henderson off the plate.
Now Polonia is one of those little spark plug guys that Tony La Russa has an abundance of. Phillips, Polonia, Javier, Gallego. They can all do a lot of things, and Polonia can run.
And this might be the pitch. Nope. 3-1.
Once again, Stieb has gotten himself into trouble when he has to come in there. 3 balls and a strike. He still has a 3-run lead. But now they're to the business part of this lineup with Dave Henderson. He's already hit a rocket to left center for a double.
And he can sit on a pitch here. A shot at Polonix, and he's got it. Deliriano for the force on Polonia. So the Oakland A's score a run. Henderson slams his helmet down by first base and broke it. But it's 4-1. The Blue Jays lead it. You're watching Labatt's Blue Jays baseball on TSN. Inning grand slam home run is the difference in this ball game. Bottom of the 5th, Jays lead it. Fred McGriff, who today was named the American League Player of the Month, will lead things off for the Jays. He beat out some pretty good company, Buck.
Julio Franco had a good month.
He led the league in RBIs with 23. Bo Jackson, 8 home runs, and the Indians' Pete O'Brien, who hit 400 during the month of April. But this man right here, McGriff, 7 home runs, 17 RBIs, slugging percentage, .629, base hits, 28, and led the American League in runs scored, and hit .315 for the month. It's that one down to McGwire. He flips it to Welch for the out. So 1 down.
Left fielder, number 11, George.
As George Bell will make his way to the plate. Bell singled and scored in the first inning and lined out to Dave Henderson in the third, and Henderson almost misjudged the ball. It was a bullet hit right at him. Jays hitting just over 200 as a team the past 13 games. And on the season, hitting .249. Say those 2-1 hitters sure didn't help their batting average, did it?
That'll drop it down in a hurry.
Chops him up. Passy to catcher. 2 down.
So Bell out in front of that off-speed pitch from Welch. Takes a long stroll back to the dugout. But it hasn't been a very pleasant month for George Bell, especially at the plate.
Well, when you consider how he got started last year, his 3 home runs opening day, and April was a big month for him. Ernie Witt, yeah, he struck out in the first inning with the bases loaded.
Fortunately, he was picked up by Rance Mullinex. Rance came through with that opposite field homer. Makes it a little easier to accept when the guy behind you comes through.
I know most of these teams have played 24, 25 games in this East Division. And Buck, after those 25 games, how do you see it shaping up?
It's a dogfight. You got to figure that the youthful enthusiasm of the Orioles might wear off a little bit, but boy, they've done a good job. Jeff Ballard, pitcher of the month, as we mentioned earlier, 5-0. The Yankees are the team that surprises me the most. After that 1-7 start, Dallas Green has really whipped them into shape. I got to say that the Blue Jays surprised me as well. I thought they'd fare a lot better than 9-16.
Yeah, I think they're the biggest surprise. But every time the Blue Jays play poorly, you can almost rest assured that Tony Fernandez is out of the lineup. Remember that final 7 games, and how could we forget that? Witt draws a walk with 2 out.
Welch didn't think so. He thought he nipped the outside corner. Let's have another look at it. Look at Hassey's glove. Fastball down and away. Dave Phillips, the umpire, had a good look at it. Felt it was outside.
Mullenix. With his home run, he struck out in the 3rd inning. You know, we look at the flags here at Exhibition Stadium. You can see they're blowing in from center field, and that shot he hit to left field, that had to be a pretty good poke to get out of this ballpark.
Oh, he really jumped all over. It was a fastball down in the outer half of the plate. There's a look at the flags. Pretty stiff breeze blowing out towards the right field corner.
A force at second to get Ernie Witt. So the Blue Jays leave a runner stranded, and after 5, they lead it 4-1. You're watching Labatt's Blue Jays baseball on TSN. Now let's go to 1 for the Toronto Blue Jays. We head to the 6th inning at Exhibition Stadium. Dave Stieb still on the mound, has allowed just 3 base hits. You know, if you look at the Jays pitching, they're 12th of 14 teams. In hitting, they're 10th. It has not been a good month. 9-16. Those are the 2 reasons why. Parker, McGwire, and Hassey will face the right-hander. Parker's 0 for 2 tonight, a double play in the 1st and grounded out in the 3rd. Steve taking his time. Hit deep down the right field line. And it is foul.
Now, Steve took something off that fastball, and I really question that pitch because Parker's bat has slowed down so much he can really get to that pitch, not a full 100% fastball. You can see that he's out in front of it, but Steve actually speeds up Parker's bat by taking something off that fastball. If he throws that good hard slider on Parker's hands or runs that fastball upstairs to him, I don't think Parker can get around on it. Boy, Parker had some great years over in the National League with the Pirates and then later with Cincinnati.
Off the handle, base hit into right field. And that'll bring up the first baseman, Mark McGwire.
Mark McGwire, after your club lost Jose Canseco, then you went down with a bad back. A lot of people kind of said, well, the A's, they can't do it this year, but the little guys have done the job.
They've done a great job, and that's the luxury that Tony La Russa's had with his ball club. Mike Gallego's really turned into a great hitter. He's hitting like 400 right now. Tony Phillips has just turned everything around. And Carney Lansford and Terry Steinbach and Dave Henderson has just done what they've always been doing and hitting well. And it's a luxury Tony's had. We have a great team, and I think a lot of people are looking at it right now and saying they do have a great team.
Well, the team they have to catch right now, the Texas Rangers, I'm sure they will. Oakland, without question. I think they have the best team in the American League. That's off the handle and popped up through Fernandez for the first out of the 6th inning. And once they get everybody healthy, talking about the Oakland A's, they're going to be tough to beat.
Well, that's the thing, that the Rangers made some comments about, well, there's no way the A's can do anything now. They've lost Canseco and McGwire, and I think what that did was that said to the rest of those A's, hey, we can play a little bit too. Don't take too much away from us. And they've gone out to the tune of 18-8, and the Rangers, as well as they've played, haven't really developed any space between themselves and the A's. So I think that it certainly has the Rangers' attention.
Hasse singled in the second, got out in an error by Liriano in the fourth inning. You know, even on that western swing by the Blue Jays, they had some pretty good outings from their starters.
Boy, John Cerruti has just been outstanding. 10 complete shutout innings against the Angels. No decision. Flanagan pitched well. Jimmy Key, 7 strong innings in Anaheim.
Fouled back out of play.
Certainly can't say too much about their starting pitching.
You know, as well, I don't think there's any doubt about it. Cerruti has been the best pitcher in this Blue Jay staff for the first month, and yet he's 0-1 with a 1.41 ERA.
That tells you just about the offense as we look at the California-Baltimore score. 3-1 in the 7th.
Finley on the mound for California, Bautista for Baltimore. Minnesota leading 2-0 as Tolliver against Dobson in that one. And Chicago leads 2-1. King against Bosio. Bosio for Milwaukee. Eric King used to pitch for Detroit. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Hasse. But Cerruti has only allowed 5 earned runs in 32 innings pitched. Boy, he's been amazing. He really has. Could be the double play. It is. Liriano to Fernandez. Boy, they look right at home.
Liriano does a nice job starting the double play. Fernandez finishes it off. 3rd double play of the night for the Blue Jays, and Dave Stieb certainly benefiting from the good infield play. That ball actually hit the runner at second base, caught him on the elbow. McGriff makes the out. Dave Stieb gets out of it. In the middle of the 6th inning, the Blue Jays lead it 4-1. You're watching Labatt's Blue Jays baseball on TSN. Fernandez's throw here. It's going to catch Parker on the left forearm. They continue the double play, but Parker's trying to break it up, and it just nicks his forearm, deflects it a bit away from McGriff. Here's another look at it from this angle. Parker's trying to break it up, trying to distract Fernandez, but he hangs tough. McGriff stretches wide of the bag and then comes back, touches the base for the 3rd double play on the night for the Blue Jays.
Pat Borders will lead it off, and you might remember a game last July in which Parker tore ligaments in his right thumb, and he ended up, and that was trying to break up a double play as well, and he ended up missing 44 ball games. So this was not a happy ballpark for Dave Parker last season. Borders takes a called 3rd strike, and that's number 6 for Bob Welch.
Welch has certainly shut the door on the Blue Jays since the 1st inning. Borders was looking for a pitch outside. You can see he was going out over the plate, and then Welch busted him inside with a fastball and really locked up Pat Borders. It's a 6th strikeout for Welch, and he's really got it going. Just one pitch has haunted him all night, that fastball out over the plate to Mullenix.
Liriano struck out in the 1st and singled in the 4th inning. Evens it up with a ball on the strike. Now, what happens, Buck, when Manny Lee is healthy in another 15 days, ready to play? Who's going to be the second baseman?
I think Jimmy Williams will probably go back to Manny Lee unless Liriano really gets hot. Lee earned this situation in spring training. Williams committed to Manny Lee. And Williams feels like he'll go back to him, I believe, unless Nelson Liriano is just so hot that the move wouldn't be justified. But Liriano still a bit inconsistent in the field. We see him make an outstanding play, taking a hit away from Walt Weiss, and then he makes a relatively routine ground ball into an error. So he needs to improve his consistency a little bit.
Hit right at the second baseman. Phillips one-hops it and gets the speedy Liriano. 2 down.
The right fielder, number 20.
And that'll bring up Rob Ducey, who doubled in the second and struck out in the fourth. A 4-1 ball game. The Blue Jays leading thanks to a grand slam home run hit by Rance Mullenix in the first inning. Blue Jays send 8 players to the plate. Mosby struck out. Hernandez doubled. McGriff was hit by a pitch. Bell singled. Witt struck out, and then Mullenix hit the home run. Another base hit for Ducey. He's 2 for 3 tonight.
That shows me right there that Ducey went back to the dugout, had a chat with Cito Gaston, and said, look at this fastball out over the plate, takes it right where it was pitched, and he's got 2 hits on the night. But Welch struck out Ducey on the same pitch. Ducey goes back, talks to Cito Gaston, looks for that pitch, gets a base hit. So that's what the youngster has done. He's become much more patient.
He looked like he was looking right down the barrel of that bat when he hit the ball.
We saw him early on try to pull the ball too much, really pulling off the ball, but that trip down to winter ball last year, he didn't try to hit home runs, just tried to go with the pitch.
He dives back into first.
Really become a pretty tough hitter.
That's the 6th hit for the Blue Jays off Bob Welch. 2 down.
It's a good time for Ducey to gamble. Top of the lineup up there in Mosby. 2 outs. You got a 3-run lead. Go ahead and take a shot. Try to get into scoring position for Mosby. He's got a pretty good read on Welch's move. We talked about it earlier that Welch has a quick move to first. Like so many of those Dodgers in the early years learned a quick Bach move from Don Sutton, where they just flex that back knee and kind of distract the runner enough where they can make a quick move. But the Dodgers always had a bunch of very quick pitchers to first base.
Of all the pitchers you faced, Buck, in your career, who had the best move?
Mike Mason, the left-hander from the Texas Rangers, picked me off on a 3-foot lead. I never saw it. I said, what do you mean out? He hadn't even thrown over here.
I tell you what, the best move that I saw took place in spring training when Charlie Huff threw between his legs.
That's when they called, what, 4 or 5 box on him? 9 box on him?
Yep.
He figured, what the heck, I'll try this one.
A ball and a strike to Mosby, who's 0 for 3.
Mosby's looking for the sign down with Johnny McLaren. Let's see if LaRussa gambles and pitches out. This is a good time to pitch out. 1-1 count.
Ducey still looking for his first stolen base.
The mind games continue, and Welch on the mound trying to guess with Rob Ducey. Ducey has seen all of the deliveries that Welch can offer. There's a pitch out. So now Welch is faced with Ducey more than likely running here. 2 balls and a strike on Mosby. 2 outs. Ducey has a big lead.
You know, that pitch out and then the subsequent ball puts him in the hole 3-1, and you wonder why. You've got a guy at the plate like Mosby who's hitting right around 200 and really struggling. 2 down in the inning. Why bother with Ducey?
Because you're 3
Challenge the hitter. There goes Ducey. Mosby, a fly ball, shallow right field. Coming on to make the play is Javier. So Ducey is left stranded. And through 6 here at Exhibition Stadium in Toronto, the Blue Jays lead it 4-1. You're watching Labatt's Blue Jays baseball on TSN. Member of the Toronto Blue Jays, pitcher Al Leiter, will be our guest on Extra Innings tonight. There's the number to call. Mark it down. 416-445-1811. Give us a call collect and talk to Al Leiter, who was just obtained from the New York Yankees for Jesse Barfield. In case you missed it, Barfield singled in his first at bat and scored a run for the Yankees tonight. A 4-1 lead here at Exhibition Stadium for the Blue Jays. Lansford, Phillips, and Javier will face Dave Stieb here in the 7th inning. A well-pitched ball game for Stieb and Bob Welch, as Welch really made one mistake in the first inning as he gave up that grand slam home run to Rance Mullenix.
Well, the match play of the game for Oakland will receive a complete range of shaving products from Remington, the grooming company, including the Remington Ultimate Shaver. The shaver that shaves as close as a blade or your money back. Just one of the precision line of grooming products for men and women from Remington.
Carney Lansford leads things off for the Oakland A's. A career .289 hitter against Blue Jay pitching. He has hit safely in 14 of his last 17. He does not have a hit in this ball game. He walked and hit into a double play. And once again, Stieb goes to the breaking ball to lead off the hitter. Hit down the right field line. Ducey, a long way to go, but it's out of play into the stands. A reminder, our next telecast will be from Minnesota Friday, May the 12th at 8 o'clock Eastern Time. And the Montreal Expos, Houston Astros, Monday, May the 8th at 8:30 with Jimmy Houston and Kenny Singleton. Expos, one game over 500. What are they, Buck? A couple of games out?
2 games back.
Lansford fouls that one back out of play. Witt will have no chance. So it's a ball and 2 strikes.
Expos have been so good at home, 10-3 at home, but 3-9 on the road. Taking a pounding away from the Big O. Saw Dave Van Horn last night, the Expos announcer. He said they're going to take that roof with them on the road.
Boy, wasn't that a great dinner last night?
That was
Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame, Willie, Mickey, and the Duke, and Whitey Ford, and the Prime Minister was there, and I thought he was terrific. He's a real baseball fan, isn't he?
Good evening for all.
Yeah. I didn't know our Prime Minister was going to be there last night. I thought it was a pretty exciting moment when he came in. About 1,400 fans to attend that dinner. So Lansford leads off the 7th with a walk.
And Stieb continues to flirt with danger.
Boy, he's done this all night long, hasn't he?
Now you get down to Phillips, Javier, 2 are the hottest hitters in the A's lineup. You can see that Stieb's not real pleased with the walk right there, but it's just he's pitching to the corners too much, not really going after him. Especially late in a game like this, 7th inning, got a 3-run cushion. Go ahead right after the hitters.
The Jays have turned 3 double plays tonight. They'll need another one here.
Put it in play.
Phillips struck out in the 2nd, walked in the 5th. Pitch is low.
See Stieb talking to himself. A bit frustrated. He knows he's got a 3-run lead, but I believe he's got to get offensive on the mound. Go right at the hitters. Breaking pitch misses. All that Phillips can do, the worst case scenario, is hit a 2-run homer and you still got a 1-run lead. But you've got to go after this guy. Now Tony's going to come in and talk to Dave as the Blue Jays will start some action down in the bullpen. Dwayne Ward, the right-hander, runs down in a hurry. He'll start throwing.
Up jumps John Sullivan.
Now David Wells goes down. He'll join Ward. So it'll be double-barrel action down the left field line.
There goes Lansford. Oh, great hit and run. Out to Bell. The ball gets away from him. Lansford will come around to score. And Phillips goes into 3rd. How about this one? It is a 4-2 ball game. And the Blues head out in the direction of that man, George Bell.
This situation has been building all night. Look at this hit and run by Phillips. That is textbook hit and run right there. And now Bell gets overmatched on the wet turf. It goes all the way to the wall. Lansford comes around to score. Phillips with a great hit and run job. Now Witt's going to go out there and try to buy some time for the relievers down the left field line. But the A's have fought their way back into this game. Wells, the left-hander, Ward, the right-hander.
And Buck, here we go again.
You could just feel it, the way that Stieb was pitching defensively, that he wouldn't go after these hitters, and this A's ball club is a good one.
Javier, the hitter, he grounded out of the second, hit into a fielder's choice in the fifth, and came around to score on a single by Polonia.
We heard La Russa say 9 hard innings. That's what he wants from his ball club.
Well, he scored that a triple. That's hit to Fernandez, base hit. He can't quite get to it. It's a 4-3 ball game. Bell was not charged with an error. They gave Tony Phillips a triple from our scorekeeper, Joe Sawchuk. So now, the Jays are in trouble.
Just a little flare over Fernandez's outstretched glove, but it produces an RBI, and I think that's going to be all for Stieb. Jimmy Williams with a very deliberate walk to the mound. He's got Ward and Wells throwing down in the bullpen. Going to go have a chat with Dave Stieb. How's it going out here? Well, I've kind of been all over the place. Yeah, I know. You've been a little bit too fine, maybe. That leadoff walk to Lansford. He said, I can't really get the ball where I want it. But Williams looking down the bullpen. I think that's going to be all for Stieb. Now Davey Phillips, the home plate umpire. He wants the left-hander. That's what you saw Williams say, and that'll be all for Dave Stieb tonight. But that leadoff walk in the 7th here, leadoff walk to Lansford, and then the hit and run by Tony Phillips to left field. It handcuffed Bell. Phillips was credited with a triple and an RBI, and then Stan Javier flukes the ball over the shortstop.
So for Dave Stieb, he leads this ball game with a 4-3 lead. He has given up 5 hits. And this pitching change is brought to you by Duracell, the one that lasts. David Wells comes on with a record of 1-1. This will be his 8th appearance. And he picked up his only win when he went 4 innings against Kansas City, 15-8 victory. He has allowed runs in 3 of his last 4 outings, 5 earned runs and 12 innings pitched. And really the bullpen has been a disaster area lately. They've given up 14 runs in a combined 15 innings on the Western swing. Wells and Ward were 0-1 with a blow and save apiece. A dejected Dave Stieb.
Well, you look at Dave Stieb's numbers to this point. He's only allowed 5 hits. Now it's make it 6 hits. But the fact of the matter is he's been flirting with danger all night long. He was staked to an early 4-0 lead, and he just couldn't get aggressive. He was pitching defensively all night long, and you can see the frustration by that picture right there. He walked Lansford, then he gave up a hit-and-run triple to Phillips, and then Javier blooped him. But he has really been kind of on the edge all night long.
You said it when he looked at Williams and said, I'm all over the place.
I tell you, thank goodness for 3 double plays. There could have been a lot different than that right now, but he still maintains a 1-run lead.
And with nobody out, Stieb is throwing 91 pitches, and Walt Weiss, the shortstop, will step in and hit from the right side.
I tell you, that's the thing that La Russa has done with this ball club. We heard him talk about the saying they have posted in the clubhouse. 9 hard innings. Give me that every night, and I'll take my chances, and that's what La Russa's gotten tonight. The A's were down early. Bob Welch has really pitched his ball club right into this game.
Well, the Blue Jays are looking for a big effort from their bullpen tonight to help turn this situation around. Pitch is high from David Wells. Weiss grounded out in the 3rd and hit a shot at Liriano in the 5th inning that Liriano made a great diving stab. Javier not getting much of a lead over there at first.
He's an outstanding base runner. And he has good instincts. He's working for that big lead, trying to draw Wells' best move so he can get a real good read on it. LaRousse is aggressive. His aggressiveness has gotten him back in the ball game. That hit and run by Tony Phillips resulted in the second run of the game, first run this inning.
Jays looking for their 4th double play of the night.
The skipper might want to get aggressive again with Weiss at the plate, the number 9 hitter.
I guess the attitude would have to be in that Oakland dugout. Hey, let's just play close to these guys and wait to try to get into that Blue Jay bullpen the way they've been going lately.
Well, that's what you got to think looking at that last road trip. The bullpen was roughed up. Starting pitching has been pretty good lately, but they haven't fared too well out of the bullpen. Wells trying to preserve Stieb's lead right here.
A strike that catches the corner. Evens up the count at 1-1.
With Wells' control problems, I don't think Williams can afford to call for a pitch out in this situation, even though he has a base stealer in Javier on first.
And Weiss is just 4 for his last 34. So you've got the right guy at the plate. You can throw strikes. A ball and 2 strikes now to Walt Weiss, the shortstop. Nobody out, 7th inning. Blue Jays leading 4-3. Javier, a good lead at first. He hustles back.
It's kind of unusual with Weiss being a natural right-handed hitter. But since he's switched around to a switch hitter, he has more power from the left side.
There goes the runner. The throw by Witt. It's a called 3rd strike. And Javier is safe at 2nd.
Witt made a pretty good throw.
Yeah, he did.
He made a good throw, got rid of it quickly. But Javier really had a good jump on Wells. This throw's right on the money, but Javier simply gets a jump, steals it on Wells, and now the tying run is in scoring position at second base. The first to Stan Javier.
So Polonia's the hitter with 1 down. And he's 1 for 3 tonight. An RBI single in the 5th inning. Dave Henderson in the on-deck circle. Wells has allowed just 6 walks in 18 innings pitched. His earned run average right at 4. The opposition has been hitting 232 off of Wells.
Well, the thing about Wells, he worked all spring long on his changeup and curveballs, trying to get a compliment for that good live fastball he possesses. And now I think he's just now getting the groove with that fastball. Just blew that one by Polonia. Polonia is a good fastball hitter, but Wells has a good one, and he blew that one right by the lefty.
Well, Wells struggled in spring training, and, you know, people asked a lot of questions saying, why did Wells make the team? And you talk to Al Whitmire, the pitching coach, and they love his arm. Oh, good breaking ball for a strike.
If Wells can get that curveball over like that, it'll give him another foot or so on his fastball. But when you can stand out there as a hitter and look for nothing but fastballs, I don't care if you throw 100 miles an hour, sooner or later the hitters are going to catch up to you. You have to put another pitch in their mind. Now he's got Polonia aware of the curveball, and he can sneak the fastball by him.
Here's the 1-2 pitch. Took a little off that one. 6 hits for the A's, 6 for the Blue Jays. the grand slam home run hit by Mullenix in the first inning is still standing up. Strikes him out. 2 in a row for David Welch.
That's what those 2 curveballs did for Wells. They made Polonia just a little bit late on this fastball. You can see that he was well behind it. And Wells did a nice job getting that one breaking pitch over. Just made Polonia aware of it. And then he came back with a good fastball. Polonia was behind it.
And this next hitter, Dave Henderson, might be the toughest out in this lineup.
And we're not going to see, because Jimmy Williams is going to put him on. Putting on the potential go-ahead run kind of goes away from the percentages of baseball.
Well, you've got a left-handed hitter in the on-deck circle in the person of Dave Parker.
You know, the only thing about this move is Parker is the type of guy that rises to these kind of occasions. He's hitting under 200. He is struggling. He's facing a hard-throwing left-hander. Everything in Jimmy Williams' favor, except the fact that Parker's one of those thoroughbreds that rises to the occasion. He has certainly gotten Parker's attention by walking Henderson to get to Dave Parker. And Parker's the kind of guy that just takes exception to these kinds of things and is really going to grind right now, trying to say, hey, you don't walk anybody to get to me. I don't care what I'm hitting. But Williams...
It's the right move, I think.
Henderson is hot. He's hitting over 300. It's the right move the way things are, except the fact that Parker's one of those thoroughbred guys.
Well, the old thoroughbred's hitting 198, and I'd sooner take my chances against him.
That's right. Everything dictates that you do it. We'll see.
Okay. First pitch was a ball outside. Parker has had just 3 hits. Make that 4 hits in his last 48 plate appearances. Two balls and no strikes. Up the middle, base hit. And Buck Martinez, you're right again. This game is tied at 4. And boy, oh boy, did he ever come through.
I tell you, there's just some guys you don't want to wake up. Jimmy Williams walked Henderson to get to Parker. Kind of a slap in the face after a guy like Parker's had such an outstanding year, but in Jimmy Williams' defense, the numbers dictate that. But I tell you, Parker, like Reggie Jackson, like the great hitters around baseball, they'll come through in those situations. Now Jimmy Williams is going to have to go to the mound and bring in Wayne Ward.
So Ward will come in to face Mark McGwire. With the game on the line, it's tied at 4 here in the 7th inning, as these Oakland A's, the champions that they are, have battled back. This pitching change is brought to you by Absorbine Jr., Canada's #1 selling liniment. So Dwayne Ward has now come on, and Wells struck out the first 2 hitters that he faced, and then issued an intentional walk to Dave Henderson, a move that you questioned, Buck.
Well, the thing about it is Williams removed all the onus from the pitcher when he said, hey, I want you to pitch to Parker. Unfortunately, it didn't work out. But with Ward throwing as well as he looked like he was throwing to Weiss and Polonia,
I mean Wells.
struck him out. Well,
yeah.
He's got Henderson up there, a right-handed batter, but Henderson likes the ball out over the plate. Ward can get the ball inside to Henderson and possibly strike him out. I said Ward again. Of course, I mean Wells. But Parker was hitting under 190 at the time. You had a base open for Henderson. You go ahead and walk Henderson. But Parker, like so many of the great players that have been outstanding clutch hitters through the years, took it as a slap in the face, kind of grinded a little bit and said, hey, You can't do that. You can't get to me like that. I'm going to really concentrate. Came through with the game-tying base hit to center field. So the old-time veteran comes through for the A's.
As far as Dwayne Ward is concerned, this is his 13th appearance. In his last 7 appearances, he has 1 win, a couple of losses, a save, covering 9 1/3 innings pitched. Has given up 7 hits and 1 earned run. He has walked 4. So, you've got Henderson at second, Dave Parker at first, 2 down. The game is tied at 4. And Mark McGwire is the hitter. McGwire so far tonight 0 for 3. One thing about Ward, he has issued 11 walks in 16 1/3 innings, and that has been his biggest problem. Jams McGwire. He fights it off and fouls it back out of play.
Well, once again, the Jays get a pretty good starting performance from their starter, but he has nothing to show for it. But going back to Stieb, he walked Carney Lansford to start this whole thing off in the 7th inning with a 3-run lead.
Off another one.
Well, Ward's got his good fastball. You know, Ward got in a situation in spring training where they were trying to make an adjustment with his delivery, and it took a little bit away from his concentration. And I think now it's just getting back to where he's comfortable on the mound. We talked about it many times. He's got an outstanding fastball. 15 saves last year. Still looking to get that groove he had last year. Right now, he's trying to stop the bleeding. Out in front of Mark McGwire. No balls, 2 strikes. 2 down here in the 7th inning.
Pitch a little outside. Ball and 2 strikes. Don't forget, tomorrow night, Mike Moore will face Mike Flanagan here at Exhibition Stadium. Ground ball to Fernandez. He'll go to Liriano for the force on Dave Parker, but the Oakland A's fight back. They score 3 runs here in the 7th inning to tie it up at 4 to spoil Dave Stieb's fine pitching performance. You're watching Labatt's Blue Jays baseball on TSN. The 34-year-old veteran Rick Honeycutt has come on to pitch here in the 7th inning for the Oakland A's. Bob Welch, a strong 6 innings, 4 earned runs, 6 hits, struck out 6. And it was Welch that gave up that grand slam home run in the 1st inning to Rance Mullenix. But this game is tied at 4. You could see that Honeycutt, to his credit, has a save, and that's it. This will be his 11th appearance. He has pitched 15 innings, given up 4 earned runs. He's a crafty veteran, isn't he?
This is where the A's really have an advantage over most of the clubs in the American League. They have so much depth down in the bullpen. Honeycutt can come in late in the game, and he's got enough stuff to keep you at bay until they can get to Eckersley. But Honeycutt, Gene Nelson, Greg Cataray, there's Nelson right there. He's already up and throwing. They can keep marching them in there until they get to Eckersley, and then it's history. But this club saved 64 games last year, Major League record. You've got to really give LaRusse an awful lot of credit because he had Eckersley down there, and you could have easily gone to Eckersley in every save situation, but he spread the rest of those saves out among a bunch of guys down there.
Well, Eckersley has 8 saves so far, and the bullpen 10 saves and 11 opportunities.
That's getting it done.
Okay, so Tony Fernandez, who doubled and scored in the 1st inning, grounded out in the 2nd and again in the 4th, leads things off. Tied at 4, 7 hits for the A's, 6 for the Blue Jays. Fly ball, center field. Henderson will wait for it.
You really got to tip your hat to Bob Welch for giving up those 4 runs in the 1st inning on Mullenix's grand slam. He allowed only 3 hits in the next finally kept his ball club in there. And like LaRussa said, he wants 9 hard innings from his club. And this veteran ball club has marched right back in there, and they've tied it up here in the 7th inning.
Left-hander against left-hander. Honeycutt and McGriff.
Honeycutt, sinker ball, curve ball, slider, change up. Veteran's been around. He started with Seattle. Got that ball by McGriff. Honeycutt came over from the Dodgers during that span where Jay Howe, Alfredo Griffin went down south. Tim Belcher was acquired for Honeycutt.
And what a job Belcher has done for the Dodgers.
You know, when you make trades like that benefit both clubs, you have a tendency to keep that line of communication open and go back again because things worked out so well. Griffin's been a good acquisition for the Dodgers.
Well, Honeycutt is 8-4 lifetime against the Blue Jays with a couple of saves. He was a starter up until '87. And McGriff goes down on strikes. 2 away here in the 7th inning. That'll bring up George Bell.
Take a look at this breaking ball. Just disappeared from McGriff. He was right on it, and the bottom fell out of it. But when you can go to a guy like Honeycutt down in the bullpen, a veteran, been around, he got 2 wins in that championship series last year against the Red Sox. But he's got good stuff.
Pitched for Seattle and Texas. Spent 4 years with the Dodgers.
Remember, he got caught a couple of years ago with the Texas Rangers with a thumbtack taped to his hand, scuffing up the ball. It just got there accidentally.
Well, the struggle continues for the Blue Jays at this point. They had a 4-0 lead until the 5th inning, and the A's scored a run, and then came back with 3 more here in the 7th. It is tied at 4.
Honeycutt is the type of guy that'll never give in to a guy like George Bell. He knows that Bell can take him deep, even though he's only hit 2 home runs so far. Bell's always a threat. So Honeycutt will try to stay out of the middle of the plate, down away from Bell where his power is. Maybe get him to go after a bad pitch, even with this count. Just off the plate.
Bell hitting 178 over the last 13 games. In that 2-game Oakland series, he had just a base hit. A single.
3-1 count right now. Honeycutt will probably take something off a sinker ball. Try to make Bell go after a good pitch. Honeycutt's still not going to give in to the right-handed hitter. Curveball. He's got enough confidence in all of his pitches that he can throw them any time, and he knows he has to keep Bell off stride. He doesn't want to have Bell have a real good rip at him.
The full count pitch.
Cassie had a look into the dugout. They've got Dave Duncan, Renee Latchman, all major league catchers, and these guys on the coaching staff really work closely together. They always talk about how to pitch to the hitters around the league, and now you can see Hassett giving a glance into the dugout. He's not a big enough guy to say, hey, I don't need any help. From time to time, everybody needs help. Now you can see he's calling for location. He wants it away. Honeycutt doesn't want it. He's going to go with a breaking pitch. Curveball.
Base hit center field for George Bell. That'll get Ernie Witt to the plate.
Bell was a little bit upset as he ripped off his shin guard. He hit that base hit, and then he just kind of took it for granted, and it was just a base hit. Right there. Now watch. Henderson goes over to catch it, and Bell knows this outfield's wet. It kicks off his glove, maybe far enough for Bell to advance to second. But Bell was a little bit upset at himself right there. You never know. You can't take anything for granted. We heard LaRussa say it earlier. You always got to go hard.
Bell won't get much of a lead over at first as Ernie Witt takes a strike. Curveball. Two down here in the 7th inning. There goes Bell. The throw by Hasse. It's on the money. They get him. So George Bell tries to steal a base.
The frustrations continue for the Blue Jays. Bell with a pretty good jump, and Hasse delivers it on the money. Weiss right there to make the tag. Not a bad gamble by Bell. Maybe catch him sleeping, but Hasse was
Pretty close play at second.
Sure was.
A lot closer than I thought. Tied at 4. You're watching Labatt's Blue Jays baseball on TSN.
With 2 outs, George Bell got a pretty good jump off Honeycutt, but watch Hasse's throw right on the money. Walt Weiss, the shortstop, over to take the throw. Look at the position of the umpire, right on top of it. Bang, bang, right there. Good camera shot. But that was a pretty good gamble with Witt, the left-hander, facing Honeycutt, a left-handed pitcher. Good time to gamble in a tie ball game, but Hasse shot him down at second.
And Hasse will lead it off here in the 8th inning for the Oakland A's. Lansford and Phillips will follow. Dwayne Ward on the mound.
Hasse's a good fastball hitter.
Dave Stieb started for the Blue Jays. Went 6 innings, gave up 3 runs, 6 hits, struck out a pair, and he walked 3. The Ward has fallen behind 2-0.
So Ward's the pitcher of record, as is Honeycutt for the Athletics.
That pitch is low. It's 3-0. They're just a team that they're not playing with any spark at all.
They're sputtering. Looked like Hernandez was going to be the spark tonight in the first inning. But Welch kind of took all that spunk away from him after the first inning when he just 3-hit him over the next 5 innings. Gave his teammates a chance to get back in the game. Hasse late on that fastball, fouled it back.
So the count is full now to Hasse. Tied at 4, 8th inning. The Blue Jays, before today's game, sent Jose Nunez back down to the minor leagues to Syracuse. Way outside, and Hasse draws a leadoff walk.
The pattern continues. You look back to the 7th. Steve's leadoff walk to the next batter, Connie Lansford, resulted in 3 innings when the Athletics tied the game.
Oh,
Yeah.
Todd Stottlemyre goes down to the bullpen. And he'll be spending a while down there after Leiter has come up to take over starter's role. And he'll be pitching Saturday against the California Angels. Al Leiter making his first start as a Blue Jay.
If LaRussa wants to start Hasse at first base, he's got the right guy at the plate in Connie Lansford. He's only struck out twice all year. He'll certainly make contact. Lansford might be one of the better hit-and-run guys in the American League. LaRussa has already relayed signs to Rene Lachemann. Dave Duncan, the pitching coach, standing next to the manager. The bunt's on. It's away from Witt, but not far enough to Hassey. Now LaRussa might cross up the Blue Jays. He had Lansford showing bunt the first time. It might be tougher to bunt Hassey to second base than it would be to hit and run him, because he doesn't run that well. And with the way that Lansford handles the bat, he might be able to advance him better on a hit and run than he would on a bunt.
Hassey was only a couple of steps off first base. Dave McKay, the ex-Blue Jay, coaching at first for the Oakland A's. Could be two. Fernandez will make the play himself. That's the fourth double play tonight for the Blue Jays. Fernandez, two of them unassisted, and he combined with Liriano for the other two.
So LaRussa didn't want to start the runner. Fernandez takes this one easily, and boy, if it wasn't for those 4 double plays, no telling what the score might be, because the Blue Jays have certainly got themselves out of jams with those double plays. And LaRussa did not want to start the runner. That could have had Fernandez covering, because Lansford hits the ball on the right side, and that could have been a base hit. It could have been a different story, but if it could have, should have, would have. 2 outs.
And the batter is Tony Phillips. Goes after a high fastball. So as we look ahead to the bottom of the 8th, it's Ernie Witt, Rance Mullenix, and Pat Borders. Mullenix might not hit because the left-hander Honeycutt.
Gruber's ankle is not quite ready yet. I think the wet turf tonight had a little bit to do with his not playing.
Kelly Gruber was telling us before the game that he thought his ankle was getting better, but when he returned home Sunday, late or early Monday morning from California, he went in and had therapy for an hour, about 2 o'clock in the morning. He said he woke up later that day and his ankle was worse. He went around for a strikeout. So the Blue Jays get off the hook here in the 8th inning.
Hard-breaking slider. Phillips tried to check his swing, but went all the way around.
This game is tied at 4. You're watching Labatt's Blue Jays baseball on TSN. Well, look at that scoreboard. Everything's even from left to right. 4 runs apiece, 7 hits apiece, and an error. And here we are in the bottom of the 8th inning. Rick Honeycutt on the mound for the Oakland A's, and Ernie Witt, who was scheduled to hit, is out of the ball game, and Tom Lawless will come out to hit. That's an interesting situation, because now Bob Brenly, and I don't think Brenly's caught an inning this year. He did catch in spring training, but he'll end up doing the catching here in the 9th inning. Tom Lawless will lead it off, right-handed hitter against the left-handed pitcher.
As a pinch hitter, Lawless is 1 for 1. Jimmy Williams trying to get something sparked here. With Honeycutt on the mound, he's opted for the pinch hitter, Lawless. 4-4 here in the 8th inning. Honeycutt 3 up, 3 down in the 7th inning.
Way outside as Honeycutt really overthrew that pitch.
Well, he's not a power pitcher. He's got to rely on movement, control.
2 balls and no strikes.
Gene Nelson, the right-hander, continues to throw for the Athletics down the right field line.
Outside, ball 3. Now, if they get Lawless on, what do? Do you send in Junior Felix as a pinch runner, or do you leave Lawless in?
Well, you send in Felix because you're going to have to use Brenly to catch anyway.
There's a strike. I'm sure Lawless will probably take another strike.
The Jays need a base runner. Ball 4.
High and tight, ball 4. So Lawless draws a walk. Brenly comes out of the dugout, and he's going to hit for Mullenix.
Now Lawless has to stay in the game because he'll play third base. Brenly will switch, and he'll play catcher, pinch hitting for Mullenix. But Lawless will remain in the game and be the third baseman.
Number 9, Bob Brenly.
So Brenly will hit for Mullenix. Brenly batting just .154 on the season. He's 0 for 3 as a pinch hitter.
Just 4 for 26. And he has really struggled in this Blue Jay uniform, coming over from the National League, where he had some big years with the Giants, but he just can't seem to get on track here with the Blue Jays. Maybe tonight will be tonight.
Cito Gaston talking to Pat Borders, telling him more than likely about Nelson down in the bullpen. La Russa trying to figure out the matchups he wants. There's a look at the two managers playing mind games as La Russa flashes signs to Hassey, the catcher, thinking about the possibility of a pitch out. There's the bunt.
Try and bunt. He lays it down. It gets the job done. Lawless is at second. Good job by Brenly.
Nice job by the veteran Bob Brenly. Comes in, advances the runner to second base, bunts it right into the ground. Goes high off the plate. Honeycutt's a good fielder, but he only has one play, and that's the first base. So the Jays advance the potential winning run to second base. The go-ahead run, that is. Now there's a look at Gene Nelson. He's ready down in the bullpen for the A's.
Nelson has had some pretty good success over the years against the Blue Jays. But if Pat Borders can deliver a base hit, and he probably won't even face Honeycutt, we'll wait and see.
It looks like La Russa is going to have Honeycutt face Borders. That really surprises me because Borders has faced most left-handed pitchers all year long, and he's certainly aggressive.
Borders walked in the first, got on an error in the fourth, and struck out in the sixth inning. Takes the ball high.
This surprises me. When Borders has faced most, now they're going to go ahead and make the move, possibly. Duncan, the pitching coach, doesn't generally make the pitching changes. But he's got right-hander Gene Nelson ready down in the bullpen. He's out to talk to Hassey to really communicate, saying, hey, don't let Borders hurt us. He's a good fastball hitter. I want you to throw him curveballs, sinker balls off the plate. But don't let Borders hit a fastball. That had to be the message that La Russa wanted delivered. They've got a base open. They want to possibly take advantage of Borders' over-aggressiveness, make him go after a bad pitch. But I believe that they want Honeycutt to throw him some breaking pitches. Slider. Jammed him.
Fouled back out of play.
Word around the league is that Borders is an outstanding fastball hitter. Very aggressive. So Duncan wanted to go out there and remind his battery that don't let Borders hit you a fastball. Don't give him a good fastball to hit.
As you look ahead to the ninth inning, Javier, Weiss, and Polonia, the scheduled hitters for the Oakland A's, the bottom of the order. And that one's fouled back out of play. Borders hitting .272 with runners in scoring position. And he's behind the 8-ball right now with the ball and 2 strikes.
Well, for Borders, this is really like a bonus. He started against the right-hander, Welch, a tough right-hander. Now he gets to see a left-hander. And the matchup is basically in his favor, except the fact that Honeycutt's a veteran pitcher, and he knows that he can't come in there with a good fastball. Another breaking pitch.
Hit high in the air down the right field line. They won't get to it as Javier made a fine effort.
He kind of had to hold up a little bit as he got over towards the warning track. It's been raining here all day long, and it's gets pretty slippery when there's water on it. He really couldn't go at it 100%. You can see he's kind of checking up right there, but the ball fell on the turf, bounced into the stands. Defensively in the outfield, Javier has good range and a pretty good arm. The best outfield arm is Henderson, the center fielder. Polonia, the left fielder, doesn't throw all that well, but he gets a pretty good jump on the ball. There's a look at the defense. Phillips, the second baseman, right on the bag now, trying to hold Lawless close.
Base hit, center field. Here comes Lawless. The Blue Jays take a 5-4 lead. How about Pat Borders? Sounded like he broke his back.
I think he did. It's another breaking pitch down and in. Boy, he hit a tough pitch off Honeycutt. Really give the youngster a lot of credit in that situation because he was in a hole, had 2 strikes on him, and then he really bared down. Honeycutt made a pretty good pitch on him.
Well, you got to say this, Buck, that the strategy of manager Jimmy Williams has sure paid off here in the 8th inning. Sending up Lawless to hit for Witt. He draws a walk. And then Brenly laid down a nice sacrifice bunt. Borders with the RBI single. He took Witt and Mullenix out of the ball game. And the Jays lead it 5-4.
I'm kind of surprised as well the fact that La Russa didn't go with Nelson.
That's right. A ball and no strikes to Nelson Liriano as he looks down at John McLaren for the sign. Borders at first. 1 down. Tom Henke is up and throwing in the Blue Jay bullpen. Liriano slaps it down the line, but it's foul. Just. The fans booing. Oh, that looked pretty close, didn't it?
Well, it kicked up the chalk. Third base umpire Al Clark right on top of the play. Watch the ball kick up the chalk about 5 feet in front of the base. Right on top of it. The ball goes down towards the line, kicks up the chalk right in front of the base, and then Al Clark right on the line calls it foul immediately.
He had
just
the best seat
outside
in the house, didn't he?
Right on top of the play, no doubt about it. And that man's name, that man's mine.
He's a pretty good umpire. Ball and a strike.
Good rip by Liriano, breaking pitch out over the plate.
Well, he's sure been a spoiler lately, hasn't he? Nelson Liriano spoiled Nolan Ryan's no-hit bid, and then Kirk McCaskill's. Mike Witt had a no-hitter going in the 5th inning in Anaheim, and who gets the first hit off him? That man. Too bad he's had so many opportunities.
That's quite a few to have in the first month of the season.
Yeah.
Well, Liriano's 2 for 3 tonight. Check that. He's 1 for 3. Singled in the 4th.
That pitch is low. Hubbard, Gallego, Bean, and Steinbach. Bench strength for the Oakland A's. We'll look ahead to the 9th inning. Steinbach, he's been hot. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Borders hustles back. Blue Jays had a 4-0 lead in this ball game until the 5th inning when Oakland scored a run. And then the A's came back with 3 in the 7th to tie it up. Pitch is low and away. Full count now to Nelson Liriano.
Although there's only 1 out, I believe Williams will start Borders at first base. Honeycutt, not a strikeout type pitcher. And with that wet outfield turf, anything that gets to the outfield could go to the wall. If the runners start, he might score. There he goes.
Ball 4.
Breaking pitch, checked his swing, and misses low. So that's the second walk in the inning. Gene Nelson continues to throw. Now Honeycutt will face Rob Ducey, the left-handed batter.
Ducey's 2 for 3 tonight. Both hits coming off Bob Welch. First time he's faced Honeycutt. A 5-4 ball game, 8th inning, 1 down. Blue Jays leading.
Honeycutt with a good slider. This is where Ducey really has to try to take Honeycutt to left field. That'll keep him on the breaking pitch, make him stay on that ball a little bit longer. We saw Ducey fare pretty well against left-handers in spring training because he went the opposite way. There he waited back pretty good that time. But
Looks
now
like
with
he
2
bailed out
strikes,
a little on that first pitch.
with 2 strikes here, he's got to shorten up, try to put the ball in play. They could certainly use another insurance run here. They've taken the lead in the bottom of the 8th inning on Pat Porter's RBI single to center.
Don't forget Al Leiter, the newest member of the Blue Jays, will be our guest on Extra Innings tonight. And he goes down on a strike. Strikeout. But first, make that strikeout number 2 for Honeycutt.
Another breaking ball. He gets a little piece of it, but Hasse hangs on. So Honeycutt now will face Lloyd Mosby with the runner at first and second. 2 down. Jays have already cashed in 1 run here.
Mosby takes a strike. His average down to 204. He's 0 for 4 in tonight's game. Inside. Get down to McGwire, the first baseman. He'll flip it over to Honeycutt for the 3rd out. So the Blue Jays have a 1-run lead as we head to the 9th inning here at Exhibition Stadium in Toronto. You're watching Labatt's Blue Jays baseball on TSN. Well, Dwayne Ward has come out here for the 9th inning. Pat Borders has gone behind the plate as the Blue Jays will try to protect this 1-run lead. 5-4. Javier, Weiss, and Polonia, the scheduled hitters for the Oakland A's.
So instead of using Brenly behind the plate, Jimmy Williams has sacrificed his DH. Pat Borders will catch. Lawless moves to 3rd base. And the pitcher will bat in the 6th spot in the lineup. Pat Borders behind the plate will go from DH to catcher. Now the Blue Jays lose their DH. Anytime the DH takes a defensive position, you lose the DH. The pitcher will have to bat in the lineup. But it could be all academic if Dwayne Ward can shut the door on the A's here in the 9th inning.
Javier, 1 for 3 tonight. A single in the 7th inning, and he stole second. He was left stranded. Well, that's what Ward has to do, is get ahead of the hitter. He came out in the 8th inning and walked the leadoff hitter, Ron Hasse. And Lansford hit into a double play. Jays have turned 4 double plays tonight. And that's really been the difference in this ball game.
Ward really jumps out in front of Javier. A couple of good, hard-breaking pitches.
Yes, he went around. second strikeout.
1, 2, 3. A couple of breaking pitches, and then he goes with that good hard fastball. Javier tried to check his swing, but went around.
Now Walt Weiss, the shortstop, who's looking for his first hit tonight. And he has been marred in the slump. Takes a strike.
Boy, this would be a big shot in the arm for Dwayne Ward. If he could save this game. Actually, he wouldn't save it, he'd win it. He was the pitcher of record. Jays scored a run in the bottom of the 8th inning. Ward came on with 2 outs in the 7th. So it's his game to win.
Inside part of the plate. Weiss didn't like that call. He walks away.
You can see that Ward really feels this game now.
Yep.
He's pumped up.
Watch
his fastball run back over the plate. That good movement on that one.
Gets him. 2 in a row for Dwayne Ward.
Good hard curveball. And you can see that Ward has a lot of confidence. This is the way he threw last year. Go right at the hitters. He's got the kind of stuff that he can overmatch the opposition with as long as he gets it around the plate.
All the while, Tom Henke is standing down in the bullpen watching Ward work.
I'm sure that if Ward would falter, Williams wouldn't hesitate to go to Henke.
Evens it up. And a ball and a strike to Polonia.
But I don't think Ward's going to falter. He's got that kind of stuff tonight.
Blue Jays 1 out away from winning their 10th game of the season. And it would be a nice way to start off the month of May.
This is what the Jays have expected all year long from Ward.
Look at the fans here. They're standing and cheering on Dwayne Ward. 1 pitch away. That's fouled out. Quite a few of them have gone home.
You know, we talk about momentum and things developing, but this is a real important game for the Blue Jays. They had a 4-run lead. They gave it up, and then they fought back to take a 5-4 lead. Now Ward's got a chance to win it all. Fernandez coming back tonight. First at bat since that injury. Gets a base hit, hustles around the bag, gets a double, scores on Rance Mulinex's first grand slam, and then Fernandez teams up with Liriano for 4 double plays.
A 1-2 pitch. Fouled back into the stands. Well, I thought a big play in this ball game was a leadoff walk to Tom Lawless in the 8th inning. And he came around to score the winning run on a RBI single by Pat Borders. This little guy right there doesn't get to play too much. Outside, 2-2.
Well, Lawless's job was to get on base, and Brenly with a good sacrifice bunt, which the Blue Jays have really struggled with lately. They've never been an outstanding bunting team, but Brenly put down a nice one.
Boy, I tell you, Polonia hanging tough. Don't forget the ever-dangerous Dave Henderson in the on-deck circle. He's hitting about .309, I guess, with a base hit tonight. You don't want him at the plate. The 2-2 pitch. Base hit, right field.
Boy, what an at-bat for Polonia. The little guy is a battler, and he really kept things alive for the Athletics. Fouled off some tough pitches until he got one he could handle, and then just beats it by McGriff at first base into right field. A 2-out single keeps the Athletics alive here in the 9th. Pretty good breaking pitch right there. We talked about Polonia all night long being a good fastball hitter. He's on his front foot a little bit, but still gets enough of the bat on the ball to drive it into right. And he's a threat to run.
Polonia has 8 stolen bases.
It's only been caught once.
Now Henderson. Hit by pitch in the first. Doubled in the third. Fielder's choice in the fifth. An intentional walk in the seventh inning.
I don't think Larissa will put the reins on Polonia. He wants him to be aggressive. If he thinks he can steal it, he'll probably let him go ahead.
Well, you can't take the bat out of Henderson's hand in this situation, I don't think. Don't forget, Pat Borders is behind the plate. Which started the game, was lifted for a pinch hitter. Back in the eighth inning. A heater that gets him.
Right by.
Second strike.
He went upstairs with a good fastball and overmatched Henderson. Now he's way out in front.
What do you throw him here?
He's going to throw him a breaking pitch off the plate. Borders checking with Jimmy Williams. Now he's going to go upstairs with a fastball.
Inside.
Borders got good velocity tonight. He struck out 3 in a row before Polonia reached him with a 2-out single. Henderson, his strength is down out over the plate. Let's see if they go fastball inside again.
Base hit, right field. Ducey charges. Play at second. Polonia's at third. The Oakland A's have runners at the corners. And now it's Dave Parker's turn. Boy, these Blue Jays never make it easy.
9 hard innings. That's what LaRussa wants. And boy, that's what his ball club has given him tonight. Inside-out swing. He just hit it in the hole at first base. Now what do you do if you're Jimmy Williams? You bring in Hinkie to face Parker? I do.
Yeah,
Yes,
he's
sir.
going to.
The reason you bring him in now, he's going to be booed because Hinkie's bad road trip. But the reason you bring in Hinkie is he's a high fastball pitcher. Parker is a low fastball hitter. The matchup favors the Blue Jays. All Hinkie's got to do is come out here and throw his good stuff, that good hard fastball, and save it right here for Dwayne Ward. Ward was tough, but he gave up a couple of 2-out singles, and he has to give way to Hinkie. This could be a boost for both of these guys.
Yes, it could be, because Widmar was saying before the game that probably one of the highlights, even though Hinkie was hit, he said he was up back in the low 90s again with his fastball.
I don't think there's a thing wrong with Tom Hinkie that a couple of good outings won't cure. If you're going to win anything, you're going to do it with Hinkie and Ward in the bullpen. And Ward was outstanding. He came in with 2 outs in the 7th. He got Mark McGwire on a fielder's choice. And then after walking Hassey to lead the 8th off, he got a double play off the bat of Connie Lansford. Then he struck out Phillips to end the 8th. To start the 9th, he struck out Javier, he struck out Weiss, and then Polonia really battled tough until he got a 2-out single to right field. Henderson follows up with a single to right field. The A's are threatening, and Tom Hinkie comes on here in the 9th.
Well, Hinkie's only worked 2 1/3 innings in 4 appearances over the past 13 days. He's lost a couple of those 4 outings. He's blown 2 save opportunities in the 9th inning this season. One against Texas. That was the game that Ruben Sierra took him deep with a 2-run homer as Hinkie was trying to protect a 2-1 lead. And the other was out in Oakland. He's 2 for 4 in save situations. But the game is on the line.
Well, Williams went to Hinkie, as I mentioned earlier, because Hinkie's a high fastball pitcher. Parker, we talked about it before, likes the ball down, waist down, and his bat is slowed a little bit. So the matchup certainly favors the Blue Jays in this situation. Hinkie will throw that riding fastball. Parker will have to look for it to get on it, but we saw Parker rise to the occasion before when he got that RBI single back in the 7th inning. off Dave Stieb. No, excuse me, off David Welch.
It's a very simple situation here in the 9th inning. With 2 down, Poloni at third, Henderson at first, and the batter is Dave Parker. 2 down. The Blue Jays, Tom Henke trying to protect a 1-run lead. Let's see if he can do it.
Trying to go upstairs with the fastball, and that one just took off on him. But that's what he's going to have to do.
Warm the heater up, Tom Henke.
Classic matchup. Veteran Parker against the Terminator. Changeup. That first fastball was enough to make Parker get out in front. Now Parker's got to make up his mind. Have to look for one pitch or the other one. It's tough to hit both of them.
Porter does a nice job blocking that pitch. Boy, that's all you'd want to see in this situation is a fastball or a wild pitch.
He really lucks out here. He's kind of late getting down there, and he didn't really get down in real good position, but the ball caught him on the leg and stayed in front of him. It wasn't pretty, but he'll take it.
2 balls and a strike to Parker. Inside, ball 3.
Now, see, he's thrown 3 changeups in a row after throwing the high fastball. Williams wanted him in here because he throws high fastball. He's only thrown 1 and missed it. Now Parker can look for a fastball. Henke's actually pitched himself into a hole, doing just the opposite of what Williams wanted.
Popped him up. McGriff will not have a play. It's about 6 rows deep. So it's a full count. It is boiled down to this 1 pitch. In the on-deck circle is Mark McGwire, the cleanup hitter, who does not have a hit tonight. And off Henke, he is 0 for 6.
I would throw Parker a fastball right here. Go upstairs with the fastball.
Well, the Jays were in this situation just a little while ago with Dwayne Ward. Pitch is low, the bases are loaded. Whoa.
My thinking is that Jimmy Williams wanted Henke in there to throw high fastballs to Dave Parker. He walked him on a 3-2 changeup. Borders wanted the changeup by the sign. But I question whether or not that's the design that Jimmy Williams had in mind when he made the call to the bullpen.
Henke has struck out McGwire 6 times, and the 6 times that he has faced him. That one's popped up. Will McGriff have a play? No. Oh, boy. Oh, don't get hurt, son.
Berg, they make them exciting, don't they?
Oh, do they ever? They sure don't make them easy.
Bases loaded. Top of the 9th inning. A's trail by a run, 5-4. Henke trying to save it for Dwayne Ward.
Uh-oh. Kiss it goodbye. A grand slam. Oh, did he hit that one? Oh, no. A grand slam home run for Mark McGwire. Wow. And if I'm not mistaken, that's the first hit that he's ever had of Tom Henke.
And it certainly is a big one as the A's pass around the bash. High fastball. McGwire just simply turned on it. Got the head of the bat out. No question about this one. Grand slam home run. Ninth inning grand slam stakes the A's to a 3-run lead. Watch this swing. Opens up the hips, up in the strike zone, but he got the big part of the bat on the ball, no question about it. Look at his reaction. He knows it's gone.
Well, the game opened up with a grand slam home run in the first inning, and it sure looks like it's going to end that way. Hasse, a ground ball to Fernandez. And we go to the bottom of the ninth inning. You're watching Labatt's Blue Jays baseball on TSN. What can you say? And nobody says anything in that Blue Jay dugout.
Everybody knows it's been a tough spell for Tom Henke. And there's not a whole lot you can say, as this whole team has really had a tough go of it. They looked like they were about ready to start the month of May off on the right foot. And unfortunately, Mark McGwire got a hold of a Tom Henke pitch.
Twice they came within one strike of winning this ball game.
I tell you, you got to go back to that Bologna at bat with 2 outs against Ward. Boy, he found out some tough pitches. And give the youngster some credit because he battled a tough pitcher in Dwayne Ward. Finally reached him for a single to start things off in the ninth. Henderson did the same thing, 2 outs, single to right.
2 strikes on both of them.
But I go back to that Parker at bat. I think that was the key to the game.
Batter is Tony Fernandez. 1 for 4 tonight, a first inning double. Oh, you wonder when the slump is going to end for Toronto.
Well, so many good things happened tonight, but unfortunately the same old bad things happened. The walk to Parker continued the inning on in the ninth. And things just continue along the same pattern. Now Honeycutt's fallen behind Fernandez, 3 balls and a strike.
You know, some of the fans now are getting on Blue Jay manager Jimmy Williams, but if you look at this game, I mean, I got to tell you that I think he made the right moves. He got the Blue Jays a lead, and you send a pitching staff out there, the guys that you've gone with and the guys that you're going to go with until they're traded. I mean, that's all he's got. Fernandez hits a fly ball to left center field. Bologna comes over and makes the play. You can only send the horses to the trough. The horses that you've got.
Well, he had the matchup that I think he wanted in that situation. Naturally, he'd have much rather had Ward finish up the game, but they reached him for a couple of 2-out hits. Then he goes to Henke, high fastball pitcher, matched up against a low fastball hitter like Parker. But Henke and Borders decide to go with the changeup. They eventually walked Parker.
Don't forget to stay tuned for extra innings immediately following this game. Al Leiter, the newest member of the Blue Jay pitching staff, will be our guest. McGriff. No balls and 2 strikes. Blue Jays, they can't get any runs, will be 9-17. The Yankees lost tonight. If that's any consolation. Blue Jays will still remain 3.5 behind the Yankees. I know Baltimore, they were losing. So even with a loss tonight, they can still be 3.5 back. But
I don't think the Blue Jays can concern themselves with anybody but themselves.
Yeah.
Right now, they've just got to turn it around and turn it around quickly.
ground ball, 1 hopper, back to Honeycutt, to McGwire, 2 down. That'll bring up George Bell. Now LaRussa comes out to talk to Honeycutt. And is he going to go to the bullpen?
He's going to make the move. He already has called in Gene Nelson from right field. The right-handed pitcher will come on to face George Bell. And Rick Honeycutt does a pretty nice job once again for the A's. He came on in the 7th. 3 up, 3 down in the 7th. He gave gave up the go-ahead run in the 8th when Pat Porter singled to center field. But he's retired the first 2 batters here in the 9th inning. And Honeycutt's in position for a W if Gene Nelson could get the final out here in the 9th inning.
Lifetime, Nelson 2-1 with 3 saves, as this will be his 5th appearance this season. He is 1-0. 6 1/3 innings, has given up only 2 hits and no runs. Well, tomorrow night it'll be Mike Moore against Mike Flanagan. Game time 7:35 here at Exhibition Stadium. And then after that on Thursday, the California Angels come in for a 4-game series, followed by the Seattle Mariners. Nelson finished up last year at 9-6, 54 appearances, along with 3 saves. Came to Oakland back in '86 along with Bruce Tanner for infielder Donnie Hill. Remember, he carved a bit of history against Toronto in the 12th inning. The game last year, he stole a base. First pitcher since the DH rule to steal a base. Curveball that's outside, evens it up, and a ball and a strike to George Bell.
If this isn't a good example of La Russa's theory, 9 hard innings, that's what he got from his ball club tonight. They could have easily folded the tents and left in the first inning after they were down 4-0 with Steve on the mound. But I tell you, credit Bob Welch. From that point on, he limited the Blue Jays to just 3 hits over the next 5 innings. Then Honeycutt comes in, although he gave up a run in the 8th. He kept his ball club in it.
It all happened here in the 9th inning with 2 outs as Ward blew away Javier, and then Weiss. And Bologna single, Henderson single, Parker was walked, and McGwire the transfer. Bell is hit. Look out, there he goes. You knew that was going to happen. The frustration of the Blue Jays, and they're going at it. Bell and the Blue Jays so frustrated over what's been happening.
That's exactly what that is. Nelson's not going to hit Bell. That's simply frustration. The club has struggled all month long. Now they mix it up.
Whoa, there's some good tussling going on in there. Dave Duncan, the pitching coach, and Bell are at it.
Rene Latchman. George Bell.
Latchman hanging on.
Now Latch just trying to be the peacemaker. I tell you, Duncan's one tough cookie.
Well, Bell is no pussycat.
Oh, no. Now Tom Hinkey's out there.
Dave Stewart, you don't want to tangle with.
You know what kind of
Pat Corellis.
You know what kind of frustration Hinkey's had. I tell you, this pretty much sums up just exactly what's been going on with the Blue Jays. They're all frustrated. Look at John Cerruti trying to tell Hank, hey, calm down. Tommy Reynolds there without the hat on the right. A coach. Fernandez certainly doesn't need to be in that pile. He doesn't need to catch an elbow anywhere, believe me. But this is just a case of frustration, being frustrated.
Meanwhile, look at Seagull hanging on to George Bell and Jimmy Williams trying to get him off the field.
And that's all that is, just frustration. George knows that Nelson wasn't trying to hit him. But it's just been a crazy month for the Blue Jays. And there's so much frustration in that dugout, in the clubhouse. Seems like everything they do is wrong.
David Wells and his civvies.
Dave McKay, Herb Rettman, Gene Nelson.
And Nelson was at the bottom of all of it.
More than likely, that was simply a matter of getting smashed down there.
Oh, look at the bruise.
Bruise on Bell's head. But with 2 outs here in the 9th inning, now look at Nelson's got a red beak.
He's saying he got it on the side of the nose. Looks like he's saying, let's have another look at it.
Now look at, here's the fastball that Bell just takes, and he hesitates a moment before he goes out there. Now he says, oh, what the heck. It's been one of those years.
Now Nelson goes down here, watch. He goes down and tries to duck Bell. Bell got a good shot right there.
Now Hassey and McGwire, now it's pretty much history.
Watch Duncan come into it somewhere.
Right there on top.
Yeah.
I've seen him do that before as a player. One time in Oakland, I saw him miss the whole pile. But now you can see, take a look at it again. Now just ducks out of the way. Catches him in the stomach. And I would find it awfully difficult to believe that Nelson would throw at Bell in that situation after it's been back and forth all night long. But Bell thought that.
I'm not even sure Bell thought that. It was a situation that he's so frustrated, as is the entire team.
Have another look at it right here. It just sums up the frustrations the Blue Jays have had. Now Nelson kind of ducks out of the way, grabs him down there, catches the knee on the nose.
He missed with that punch.
Now Hassey grabs him from behind. Here comes McGwire, Lansford, trying to protect Nelson.
That's
look at
probably
Nelson down
where
in the
George
back.
got the bruise on his face.
Look at Duncan
rubbed
coming
into
from
the
over
dirt.
the back now. There's Borders in there. Now Williams says, wait a minute. He said, George Bell gets tossed out.
Why doesn't Nelson?
So Davey Phillips, the home plate umpire, trying to restore order here. Phillips is frustrated. He knows Williams is frustrated, but what can you do in this situation?
Phillips is saying that Nelson, in his opinion, didn't intentionally throw at Bell. And Williams is probably saying he did.
Now he threw Williams out of the game. He said, that was just kind of matter of fact. Okay, Jimmy, I can't put up with it. Let's go. Just waved him out of the game, but I tell you, this whole thing is just a reflection of the month of baseball the Jays have played. That man right there has had a very frustrating time as he's seen leads evaporate. McGwire's grand slam home run. Now Jimmy Williams will make his way into the clubhouse. Tony LaRusse is on the field now.
Now, are they going to take Nelson out of the ball game? Let's see.
Now, I don't know.
Now, they're going to go to the bullpen.
LaRusse made this move in my mind.
Yeah.
Because he came out of the dugout and said, let me take Nelson out of the game. I don't know how healthy he is. I think I can get Plunk ready. And he went and made the move to Plunk. So Eric Plunk will come on after all said and done. There are still 2 outs. Alex Infante is the pinch runner replacing Bell at first base. The Athletics lead by 3. There's a look at Infante. It's 8-5. There are 2 outs. Infante's the runner at first base, and Eric Plunk, the right-hander,
Number 51, Eric Plunk.
is on for Tony La Russa's Athletics.
Baltimore beat California 4-3. So the Jays now will be 4.5 back. The Yankees lost 5-3 to Kansas City. Boston beating Minnesota 4-2. Chicago leading Milwaukee 6-1 in the 8th. And there's a rain delay in the 3rd inning. Cleveland and Texas. Cleveland a 1-0 lead. And Seattle leading Detroit 4-0 in the 3rd.
Well, this game has had the entire gambit of emotions for the Blue Jays. Go back to the 1st inning when Fernandez gets his first hit after coming back from that fractured cheekbone. As you look at Tony La Russa, the A's manager, walking off the field. But Mullinex gets his first Major League Grand Slam.
Well, you go back to the 1st inning. Dave Henderson was hit by a pitch from Stieb. The bottom of the 1st. Freddie McGriff was hit in the knees from Bob Welch. And that was a get even. And from there, of course, the game continued on, and Mullinex had hit the grand slam. Oakland came back to tie it up, and then eventually get a grand slam from Mark McGwire. They take an 8-5 lead here with 2 out in the 9th inning. The game that started at 8 o'clock. Tom Lawless, who is standing in the on-deck circle. And Junior Felix, who was just called up today. And he might get to the plate, he might not. We'll have to wait and see. Well, this game sure had all the makings of a Blue Jay victory tonight, didn't it, Clark?
A couple of different times.
Yeah.
In the 1st inning, then again in the 9th inning.
Well, 2 or 3 times in the 9th inning.
But Dwayne Ward struck out the first 2 batters in the 9th inning, with the Blue Jays up 5-4. And then Louis Polonia really had a great at-bat against Ward. Fouled off several pitches. Finally got a base hit to right field. Then Henderson had 2 strikes, and he got a base hit to right field. Tom Hinkie came on, walked Parker, and Mark McGwire hit a grand slam.
Strike to Lawless.
Plunk has an outstanding fastball. 92, 93 miles an hour. There it is right there. He's way out in front of Lawless, 0-2. So Lawless trying to keep the Jays' hopes alive here in the bottom of the 9th inning. 2 outs, 2 strikes.
Breaking ball, this game is over. The Oakland A's win it 8-5. Couple of grand slam home runs. Mullinex for the Blue Jays in the 1st inning, and Mark McGwire here in the 9th inning for the Oakland A's. So the A's now with a record of 19 wins and 8 losses, and the Blue Jays are 9-17. 4.5 games back of Baltimore. You're watching Labatt's Blue Jays baseball on TSN. Now it's time for the TSN Turning Point, brought to you by Mita. 9th inning, 2 down, bases loaded. Tom Hinkie on the mound. Mark McGwire, deep, deep to left field. He admires it, and it's gone. A grand slam home run to give the Oakland A's an 8-5 come-from-behind victory, and look at that reaction. But what about this man, Tom Hinkie? A dejected look. A cash donation will be made to amateur sport on behalf of TSN and Mita. At Mita, all they make are great copiers and long-distance copiers. You're watching Labatt's Blue Jays baseball on TSN. Labatt's Blue Jays baseball has been brought to you by Labatt's Blue, the clean, true taste of Canada. By Esso retailers and agents across Canada. By your local bottler of Coca-Cola Classic. And by General Motors of Canada Limited. This has been a special presentation of the Sports Network, produced in association with TV Labatt by authority of the Toronto Blue Jays. The final score, the Oakland A's win it 8-5. The winning pitcher, Rick Honeycutt, at 1-0. The loser, Dwayne Ward, at 1-4. The Labatt's players of the game: for Toronto, Rance Mullinax. He'll receive Cannon's new Prima shot. And for Oakland, Mark McGwire. He'll receive a selection of Remington products. All members of the Blue Jays pitching staff receive a selection of fine gifts presented by Duracell, the one that lasts, and by Absorbine Jr., Canada's #1 selling liniment. Major League Baseball next on TSN, Monday, May the 8th at 8:30 Eastern, the Expos and the Astros. We'll be back Friday, May the 12th at 8 p.m. Eastern, when the Blue Jays play the Minnesota Twins. Our baseball magic winner, Ian Monroe from Thunder Bay, Ontario. Now, stay tuned for Extra Innings. Our guest, Al Leiter. Give us a call, collect.